Excellent. Good evening. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Town of Thompson Planning and Zoning Commission to order. It is Monday, December 19th, 2022 at 7 p.m. here in the Merrill Sinet Community Room and online via Zoom. We will begin, please, with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
And is our custom, we remind under citizens' comments to state your name and address to come forward here at the microphone, to limit your remarks to 3 minutes, and to direct your comments to the chair in a civil and respectful manner. We'll begin now with a roll call. Mr. Hill. Alvin Hill, present.
Mike Vogel, present.
It's also present.
Ray Williams, present.
Ryan Santos present. John Rice. Dave Pakulski.
Randy Blackmore. Ms. Langlois.
Charlene Langlois present.
Mr. Lanky.
John B. Lanky, present.
And Joseph Brody Brown. And so we will not see any alternates this evening with 10 regular members present.
Just as a point of order, Mr. Chairman, Kai's is also in the Zoom.
I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you. Ms. Orr.
Kai's or is here, yes, present.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, item 3, public hearing, Planning and Zoning Commission application 22-40. Applicant Spicer Plus Incorporated, John Holstein, 0 Reardon Road. Map 66, block 101, lot 6D, zone BDD. Property owner Thompson Rail Business Park LLC requesting special permit to construct a propane bulk station. Initial construction will consist of a gravel driveway, stormwater basin, and 30,000-gallon propane tank with safety and security accessories. Potential phase 2 construction may include a second 30,000-gallon tank, office building, well, and septic system. We'll begin with the applicant and then all those speaking on behalf of the applicant, and then we'll offer anyone from the public who wishes to speak against the application. And we'll follow those same 3 minutes, name and address, comments addressed to the chair. So for the applicant, please.
My name is Daniel Blanchette. I'm a licensed civil engineer. I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant, Spicer Gas, to seek your approval this evening for a special permit for a propane bulk station. Before we get into the specifics of the application, I'll let Mr. Holstein give a little bit of an introduction on his company, what he does.
Good evening. Thanks for having us here tonight. My name is John Holstein. I'm a manager and member of Spicer Plus Inc. Spicer is located in Groton, Connecticut. We were founded in 1915 as an ice and coal company. Since then, we have transitioned and modernized with the needs and of our customer base and the energy needs of our customer base. We currently serve about 2/3 of Eastern Connecticut and most of Southern Rhode Island. We have about 58 employees, full-time employees currently. And our natural progression is to grow and move north, and we've been seeking a site to develop and grow our business for about a year. We have found that Reardon Road was an optimal spot for us to be, and we're looking to develop similar distribution facilities that we operate in other places. We have 3 current propane distribution facilities. One is in Groton, Connecticut, another in Salem, Connecticut, and one in Hopkinton, Rhode Island. So this would be our 4th. And we are we now deliver propane. We deliver heating oil also, and we do propane service and HVAC service. All the HVAC service is something that goes along with our propane business and oil business. So this is a two-part plan. And phase plan. We'll start, and I'll let Daniel kind of maybe step on, go into some of the detail on the phases of construction, but I can tell you a little bit about what the, what exactly it is we're proposing to do. Propane is kind of 4 steps of propane. There's the production of it. There's the transportation of it to the region, which goes by pipeline, rail, or in some cases into New England by ship, container ship. And then from there, we have transports, tractor trailer trucks. They go to the terminals, pick up 10,000 gallons or so increments of propane and bring it back to residential retail distribution facilities like the one that we are proposing right here. So trucks come in, transport trucks, 18-wheelers come in, bring propane in, and then it's distributed by the smaller bobtails, which if anybody's familiar with bobtail, it's a if you see on the road what delivers to your house or what delivers to commercial, it's a straight truck, so it's a combined unit, about 2,500 gallons to sometimes up to 5,000 gallons, and it goes residential house to residential house, commercial house. So that's what we would have as an operation on site. That's at the start is a bobtail that delivers out to the surrounding area, both everybody in town here that uses propane certainly delivered to, and outskirts of and other surrounding towns. So we have I think in the phase 2, and when we build out the business a little bit up here, we would project to have 10 to 15 local jobs that run out of there, both delivery personnel, service personnel, and then some office. That's about all I have. I'll turn it over to Daniel, and I appreciate the time.
Good evening, everyone. As I stated, I'm Daniel Blanchette. I'm a licensed civil engineer. I'm gonna grab my whiteboard out from behind you, sir. Is there anyone from the audience here for this application? I'll make sure that this is kind of pointed in your direction. Right, I'm gonna mostly point it at the commission. I'm sorry about blocking you, sir. No. So, again, the site is located, the applicant is Spicer Gas or Spicer Plus Incorporated. The site's located on Reardon Road. It's known as Lot D. It currently has a street address of 0. It's on the east side of the road. It's just south of Thompson Stone. If you're familiar with that facility, they cut stone, and it's located right at the entrance to French River Materials, which has been an ongoing quarry and gravel bay. Now, these properties were all subdivided in 2008, and it's zoned the Business Development District. It's essentially the town's industrial park. When it was first subdivided, when it was first proposed, it was assumed it would have, again, similar type of industrial businesses in there. We are coming in under section 28 of the special permit regulations for this zone, which is a gasoline station. There's also section 20, wholesale distribution, which we kind of thought was probably more realistic to what they're proposing, but in having a preliminary meeting with Cindy, we realized some people could interpret it as a gas station. That requires a higher level of permit, special permit. And so we're kind of going above and beyond with the permit again, just in case we don't know how the commission is going to feel. Procedurally, abutter notices were sent on December 8th. The public hearing sign went up on December 5th. We did get approval by NDDH on December 16th. We don't have approval by the Wetlands Commission yet, and I'll get into that at the end. That gets a little complicated. Again, looking at the site, it's about 1.5 acres, roughly 50% forested. There's no wetland. There are a small amount of wetlands on site. At the north end, again, there's an intermittent water course for drainage from the road. And now when the subdivision was put in, the Conservation Commission had a lot of input into this subdivision. And so this whole northern swath, it's about 80 feet deep, I believe, is a conservation easement. And that encompasses all the wetlands, and so there's no work of any kind proposed either in the wetlands or in the conservation easement. Talking again about phase one construction, what we really want to do next year, 2023, will be to clear the site, level the site, we'll have to bring in some fill, probably again, right from down here at French River Materials. We're going to clear and level the site. We're going to build a gravel driveway, a circular driveway to allow the trucks to have easy access to the propane tanks. They're going to construct foundations for two 30,000 gallon propane tanks. But again, our initial phase, they're just going to have one propane tank. And I believe that's pretty crated in one piece, pretty much. We have a representative from the propane company here who just produces the tanks, and he'll get into more detail about safety, security at the end. Again, that's not my area of expertise. The other part of phase one will be designing the stormwater system. Again, water is kind of moving from the road towards the east, eventually down to the French River. And so we do have a stormwater system designed both to capture and treat any runoff from the site, and also to make sure there's no net increase in runoff from the site. Basically consists that most of the site will drain into an infiltration basin here at the northeast corner. There'll also be a subtle grass swale, again, just uphill of the wetland. So as the site is draining north, it'll all get intersected by that swale. It'll go into the infiltration basin. This site, as you can imagine, with all the gravel banks nearby, has very sandy soils, very high rate of infiltration. So we have a pretty small basin designed. Essentially during the big rainstorm, even the 100-year rainfall, most of the water is going to go into the ground. We don't need a lot of storage here. Yeah, that's it. Phase one will also have a small shed, a utility shed that'll have maintenance tools, things like that. We're going to have 15 feet of trees remain along the road. We're specifying a minimum 15-foot buffer along the road. I don't think it's strictly required in this industrial zone, but we don't need the space. I think it looks nice. And then again, phase two construction will consist of an office building, a parking lot here for 8 cars, septic system under the parking lot, and lastly, a well at the northwest corner. Phase one will have a few exterior lights, just the bare minimum needed for security. Again, this site's not open to the public. It's only open to their employees, but we do want to have a little bit of light on site for safety. So we're proposing one street lamp here and then a small lamp off the shed. Again, everything's directed away from the road. It's downcast. We don't anticipate any light pollution. I think this is a great use for this site. It's a great business to get in there. It's very low impact. There's not a lot of truck traffic. As he said, you might have one big delivery truck coming in once or twice a week, and then the smaller trucks coming in up to 10 times a day, probably a lot less to start. No noise is created. There's no dust. It's overall very unobtrusive business for the site. There's not many neighborhoods nearby, obviously, because it's the industrial park. There's one house that's about 400 feet south. There will never be any houses built closer. Again, it's all zoned business development district. And that one house is way down here. It's not going to be impacted by, again, some lights on the site. Talking about the wetlands for a sec. This requires an agent approval permit because there's no actual work within the wetlands. We had submitted those to Marla at the same time. Marla is usually very quick. I assumed she would approve this in 2 or 3 weeks. Marla decided to bring it before the Conservation Commission just to see if they have any concerns. Again, because they do have a little bit of a stake. Unfortunately, with this meeting being a week early, the Conservation Commission is meeting tonight. So I don't have a wetland permit, or sorry, a wetland agent approval at this moment. I've been going back and forth with Marla. I think she's exchanged some emails with Cindy. And I can tell you Marla is fine with the project. She has no, I've addressed all of her questions. I expect her approval very shortly, any day now. So we are asking you to approve us this evening if possible. Certainly, that would be a good condition of approval that we do get that wetland agent. The other potential waiver we would be requesting, the section of the zoning regulations, both for site plan review and for special permit, say we need to have building plans, detailed building plans. That would be a big expense to my client, and they're not sure if this is even going to be allowed. We don't have building plans at the moment. Again, it would be several years down the road. It would need its own building permit. It would be kind of a typical commercial office building. And again, I think that's appropriate in this zone. There's not a lot of concern for architecture, for blending in with the neighborhood, so to speak here. Again, I can envision something building very similar to Thompson Riddle. And the commission does have authority to waive that requirement, is my understanding. That's, I believe, the only waiver we're asking for. And I will let representative from Hiltz Propane, who distributes and install these tanks, talk for a little bit more about safety security measures. Go ahead and be right up. Okay.
Members of the council, meeting members. My name is John Pelletier. I work with Hiltz Propane Systems out of Pennsylvania. I've worked in the propane industry for about 31 years now, so I'm 32 years old, didn't get a bad start. We've been hired by Spicer, Advanced Gas, by Spicer Energy Services to build this skid tank of theirs. As a propane installer, propane builder, we are governed by NFPA 58 in a trade. Your carpenters got some other NFPA they use. We use NFPA 58. So we're heavily governed by them. This is just kind of a process we go through zoning and planning in the town. We also need, you know, the okay with your fire marshals. So to start, I just want to talk about this fire safety analysis. It's required by NFPA 58. If you're installing 4,000 gallons of storage or above, this is a 30,000 gallon skid tank, so it's about that. Primarily what we do with this, when Spicer was looking for land in this area, we wanted to make sure that the fire department's on board with this. You know, they're going to be responding to any of the emergencies. So this is somebody in our engineering office called your local fire department and said, hey, you want to build a propane storage tank in your, you know, your backyard. This is how big it's going to be. What do you have for water? Who can, how many people are available? Who's your first responders? Your local town members. So that's how this starts. Okay. We're proposing to build a 30,000 gallon skid tank. Hiltz Propane Systems is our stamp shop. So all the welders that put this together are our stamp qualified, certified. This 30,000 gallon tank will come on a skid, already built, piped up with a heater, hoses, ready to go. All we do is drop it on, not on the ground, but it's got to sit on concrete piers, precast piers per code. We set it on the ground. Spicer hires an electrician, hooks the power up to it, and it's kind of a plug and play thing. It's prefab, all ready to go. The beauty with Spicer Energy Services is they, all the hoses and all the bobtails, their trucks are with low emissions, meaning that when you unhook from them, there's not that much of a smell to the product. Low emissions came out to save gas, actually, you know, because when you unhook, there's a little bit of gas that comes out, and people, you know, you do 10 or 12 deliveries in a day, that comes up to a lot of gallons. So not a lot of companies out there use the low emissions. Spicer does, so they've gone the extra step to save gas and also eliminate some of those risks that you have with propane. Everything, all the openings in the tank, not to bore anybody here, but they're excess flow valves, internal valves, all nitrogen activated. So they're The nitrogen tank has a little plastic tube that goes into the bottom of the tank, and if there's anything happen, disconnect to that nitrogen line, melting of the nitrogen line, everything shuts off. There's also emergency stop buttons at the loading rack, and emergency stop buttons like 20 feet. No less than 20 feet, no more than 100 feet away from that driver where he's gonna be. The loading station, the loading rack is also protected by bollards, so nobody can back into it. Another thing, all of the Spicer Energy drivers have got to be CPEP qualified. They have to go through like a certified employee training program to handle propane. Not only do they have to have a Class B license with hazmat, but they have to go through propane education courses to handle the gas. So that's about all I got tonight. If you have any more questions, feel free to field them.
I was just gonna interject, there's a lot of detail on these plans, you can see there's a whole layout for piping and valves. Here's an overlay on my site plan. There's all kinds of details, they'll have a safety fence around it. Bollards will also have a guardrail around it, both to keep people out and vehicles out. Here's a cross section of the tanks, again, you can see the underground footings, the side view of the tanks. They are 62 feet long, just in case you wanted a feel for the size of them. And again, and then this sheet, I think, has a lot of good stuff on, again, where are the gates, where are the guardrails, 6-foot high chain link fence. So there's a lot of good information on here. Again, there's a lot of safety and security measures that go into a project like this. Otherwise, I think that's all we have. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. McCloskey.
In regards to the fire analysis, so that was developed in collaboration with the town,
Correct.
with the
Correct.
town and
Yep.
what their equipment was.
Yes, this town and also surrounding communities that come in and help. If there's any incident that happened.
Yeah, so it was in with their information, with the responding units, gallons of water
Correct.
on the trucks, the whole,
Correct.
and so that gets supplied to them,
They supply that information to us.
but your analysis goes to them too?
Correct, correct.
All right.
That report's in the record if you ever want to come down and look at it.
That was my question, because I saw in your notes that it was in the record. I just didn't know what the record was and where.
Right here. It's
Well,
very
It's
clear.
very.
Yeah. I'm sure it was.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
If you want that as a PDF, I can email it to you. I have a copy as well.
Mr. Rice.
That was my question, similar question. Does the town fire marshal approve this analysis?
The fire chief knows this is a process that we go through. We also have to go to your state inspection, so then the state fire marshal will prove it. But he often looks to the local fire chief and says, are you okay with this? And, that's they talk and, but yeah, that's how.
I guess I'm looking rather than a verbal, do you have the analysis that you did signed off by the fire marshal? Because I'm looking at JD's report here. And it says the applicant is also working with the fire marshal to perform a fire safety analysis. And I'd like to, have that
Yeah, and I'll tell you,
fire marshal signed off on it.
right. Because we need their sign off to in order to construct this,
Okay,
okay? And the first step is going to your local fire department.
well, I know you mentioned you discussed it, but again, there's nothing like his signature saying
Yeah.
it's okay.
I was just gonna come out of that. So mass, when I'm building, I have to follow NFPA 241 for building buildings. And usually that comes after the discussions with the building department after zoning approval. So that usually that process happens after this process.
And the fire marshal's approval is on the building permit. He has to approve it. There's a line item, I believe, for him to approve it.
Mr. Hill.
Daniel, what type of security around this whole plan?
So there's gonna be, again, a 6-foot high chain link fence going all the way around that I assume is locked. I don't know, do you have cameras maybe, or?
We put cameras, yeah, we don't have them on plan at the moment, but we certainly could have cameras.
Well, so it'd be difficult to break in
Yes,
to this environment.
yes,
There'll
Mr.
be
San,
security cameras as well, hopefully.
we would definitely have at least one security camera on the shed, on the electrical shed, yeah.
Mr. Santos?
Just a few parts to the comments, questions. So I remember you guys coming in originally, whatever, a year ago, correct?
No, I came in June.
Yeah, in June. Yes. So we were, just a reminder, a friendly reminder, to you, we were very supportive of this project originally, I think. Everyone remembers that. The tank layout, we're gonna get to the build for that. So the tank layout's seemingly okay with you, Cindy, right, where it's doing on the property. So is there any leak detection or alarm systems? You guys talk about fail safes. But was there a leak detection with Wi-Fi and it tells you what's going on, like immediate reactions instead of fail safes?
Not with this particular unit. We have installed in the past some like flame, that will pick up like a flame or something, flame detector, you know. Usually there's not, but those are for more like big terminals or something.
That's what I figured. I'm gonna rephrase my question. So if there's no building there, that's kind of what you deemed as phase 2. How often are you guys present reloading tanks? Is it like daily? Just so if there is a leak, you're there, you're gonna realize that something's gonna.
So we'll have personnel on premises every business day.
Okay,
And some, some weekends as well. But both the drivers and service technicians would be dispatched, would have trucks there, dispatched from there, so they would be there every morning and every evening. Not to mention they might come back to reload during the day too.
okay. So I'm good on the tank, and that's fenced off, but the rest of the property is not. It's just the tanks.
Just the tanks.
Okay.
That are fenced, yes.
Okay. All right, the building layout, same question to you, Cindy. Was there any problems with setbacks or anything like that?
No, no problems with setbacks or anything.
Okay. I just want to see why we wouldn't give authority or approval to do both, right? Let's be supportive. I do like your comments about supporting local employees. It is Christmas, maybe there's a 20% discount for Thompson residences for propane. Just tossing it out there. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that being recorded.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Santos. Ms. Dunn?
I just wanted to address, his statement that he wants to, do the whole program. I did some research on special permits,
Yeah.
even though this is a site plan, the site plan will have to come in every 5 years to be renewed.
Yep.
So just, I made them aware of that today. So I did my,
I feel like some conditions can be set and
right.
approval could be.
Mr. Williams?
Has anybody looked at the bridge for Blaine Road over there?
Can't go that way.
Can't go that.
Okay, because I've had people come up to me and ask me about that, with the trucks passing over Blaine Road, so.
It's actually,
I just wanted to check into that further.
there's a sign when you leave the site that says trucks can only turn left
Okay.
towards the dam.
Thank you. Mr. Blackburn?
They'll be using the same access as the French River Materials, right?
Yes, sir. Yep, no access directly from the street.
Mr. Hale?
Going at this P&W rail, any chances of you using a rail car to bring in propane? I mean, it's right there.
It's not part of the property as,
Right.
as it's set up, and it would be a very large project to get the rail to the property. So at this time, no, I think we're,
Unless the truck's going down.
unless we got Ross in at some point and said, could we have a portion, but that would be, not at this stage, no.
Yeah, 'cause they got a sidecar.
Yeah, an impressive one.
Very impressive.
Very nice.
It'd be super efficient for you guys.
Yeah.
Mr. Poplawski?
Just around the fire analysis again.
Yeah.
you know, the demographic, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but there's West Thompson Fire Department, there's a number of different fire departments within the town. So I just want to make sure that that fire analysis is shared with everyone, the different departments, and they know if it's, you know, West Thompson gets there first, the Hill gets there first, East Thompson, that it's proper training is done so that those, you know, any of the departments that come there, not just community. So I don't know if there's trainings in there specifically for the fire departments, or if they could do, you know, yearly trainings up there. I just think that that's something worth considering, given that there's not just one fire department.
Yeah, I'm giving you my resume, but I also belong to the Propane Gas Association of New England. I'm on the emergency response team. So twice a year, we do a training where propane and the industry people get involved with firefighters. And we talk propane, we discuss different emergencies, we work together, put out propane fires. And that's definitely available to you. And I'm sure Bill could reach out to you. It's usually done in May and September.
Yep.
To the fire department. And scholarships are free, and it's a free 4-day training.
Okay.
And it's very, very good. But as far as the fire safety, your chief filled this out or gave us the information. And he also included some of your Matthew Whipple, I guess his last name is.
That's out of West Thompson.
Yeah, out of West Thompson.
Yeah. Okay.
And he went to Thompson Hill, East Thompson.
Oh, good. Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah, and I have all the numbers of those firefighters who were, you know, able to fight propane fires at this time.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill Cummings, and I'm also on the emergency response committee with P-Game. We will also, at your convenience or any of the fire department's convenience, meet up here and give them an orientation and work with whatever they want to do. If they want to see how a bobtail hooks up and does, we will give them hands-on training. Not as good as the fire academy in Mass, because that's really good. I mean, they do live burn propane, and it's really a great thing for you guys to go see. Or if you're a fire department, if you're in the fire department. But we will do that hands-on in the yard. We can do it with any new firefighters coming in, or once a year, just for orientation, we'll be happy.
Okay.
We prefer it that we would do that.
Yeah. I think it's valuable. Thank you.
When you came in June, I think you said something, if I remember correctly, that you possibly on that second phase, when you put that building in, that it could be for selling like propane stoves and stuff like that.
Yeah, if we got the interest in town, and the customers will tell us that they're interested.
Okay.
Because we'll start asking them.
I was just wondering, because he was saying the public wasn't gonna be on.
Well, that's not now. That's kind of down the road, probably quite a bit, because
I would say that we generally don't, it's more of it would be more of an option. It would be more of a place for both people to call in, pay and dispatch the units from and things like that. It would, you know, I don't envision it being something that we're selling appliances and things and inviting the public in very much at all. It would be more just for our employees and staff. So.
Mr. Black, will delivery trucks be there at night or come in? Okay.
Yes.
My name is Doc Sharma. I live in Thompson for the last 47 years. And where I live, I have propane tanks. And originally it was Osterman. And in the last few years, it has changed many hands. It would be good to have somebody locally which will serve us and make our life a lot easier, because it is getting very difficult to get the same quality of service 10 years ago.
Thank you, sir. And if there's anyone online who wishes to comment.
So Daniel and I worked out everything that was in my memo and so I'm good with, you know, all the questions I asked him and yeah, you just want to put the conditions you talked about on the site plan, it's fine.
Okay.
Just a quick one to follow up on Mr. Hill's comment about the rail siding. Who did you guys contact? Did you contact you directly?
We've talked to well, we didn't talk to P&W about this. I do deal with P&W, and I know them. We talked to Lawson about how they're using it and,
Using the siding.
yeah, using the siding and, you know, and obviously their operation is very, sectioned off down there. Where we are, really, you know, and so it's, but that was more a conversation with Lawson than P&W. Okay.
I think it's pretty scale. It seems like that
Yeah.
area with the rail.
For sure.
Everything, so the things.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask, if you ever run a pipe down there, again, with permission from that landowner, is that not?
it's all, I mean, I did that driveway, I bet
It's
it's,
far.
I bet it's.
That was an
It's
easy-
at least a half, I was gonna say half a mile,
Okay.
but maybe it's,
Sally would like to speak.
Yes, Ms. White?
Yes, Sally White, 308 East Thompson Road. I have a few things to bring up that it would be nice to hear a credible response of substance. And one thing I haven't heard spoken about is the bulk transport of propane that would come in on the 18-wheeler. So there are 3 ways into the road. 2 of them are over railroad crossings with a difficult intersection to make the wide turn needed for an 18-wheeler. And the 3rd way would be over the dam, which also would necessitate turning onto Reardon, a narrow, tight turn. And so I'm wondering if there is one route that's already been determined for the 18-wheeler that would bring that in. That's not an easy access, and it would inhibit other regular vehicle traffic at the intersections at either end of the road. The other thing I was curious about, there was mention made of that it would bring jobs, yet most of the delivery services of all types of businesses, including fuel oil and propane, are having a hard time finding drivers. They don't even have enough. So I'm wondering if the existing companies are having a difficult time, how a new company coming into town is going to compete for them or find them. And then I also wondered, in terms of, I'm curious about the company itself, in terms of a business plan, or what level of market demand you have found. There are numerous propane companies in the area, and I see that Hometown in Pomfret now is getting into propane in a big way. So we have the introduction of another company from out of the area who is trying to become involved. And so we already have existing local companies and a number of other companies that are within the area, and the big chains that are already delivering. So that's kind of curious how you think that the business demand is here. And the 6-foot fence, is that meant simply for deer? I say that somewhat tongue in cheek. Apparently you're not saying that's going to keep humans out that may want to meddle with it. And let's see. But has planning and zoning done due diligence on the company itself? But those are a number of things I haven't heard discussed that I'm curious about. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. White. Go ahead, respond.
Hi, Daniel Blanchett again. Just respond to the truck question. Again, all trucks coming into the site have to go north up Reardon Road. They can't go the other way. So again, trucks leaving the site have to go south towards the dam. Then they will head east onto Route 12. So it's about 1.5 miles, 2 miles until you get a state road. It's really not that far to go until you're on a good state road. And again, the biggest trucks are not going to be coming in that often. Like I said, I think I mentioned once or twice a week for those biggest trucks. So again, we're not concerned about the truck traffic. In regards to some of the other questions about your businesses and stuff, I don't think that's really a zoning issue, but I will let John speak to that.
yeah, Yes, answer a few of the questions, that I can. We're a family-owned business. We've been a family-owned business for a long time. We think that there's certainly a market here for propane. And we're talking about the businesses that are here. Some of them have been acquired in the last 5-10 years and are much more national companies now that don't necessarily have the same family type business ethics that we do and the service that we provide. And that's what we try to distinguish and how we try to distinguish ourselves. So, and I would wholeheartedly agree that it is difficult to find drivers. And it's, certainly a problem, not necessarily for our company. We've been fortunate to have long tenured employees, but it's an issue. Trades in general are an issue. So but we've been lucky to find the people to get in our trucks and perform service work and all that stuff. So hopefully that answered some of those questions.
Thank you.
I'm Angelo, 640 Fabian Road, opposite end of town. I think it's a great opportunity. Full disclaimer, disclosures, I'm an elected official in town, Board of Ed, president of Turtle Lot Trust Building Committee, and a few other things. But my only question is, and I'm not sure if this goes to the board or to the presenters, has there been any discussion about the blasting at the rock quarry and what that might have on the tank propane?
Good question. Yeah, because they do blasting over there.
Yeah. There has been some complaints with homes in the area, so that's the reason why that's.
So a couple, and John, you might be able to speak to it too, but so the tank itself is on the piers, right? And it's on a steel railing, right? It's a self-contained unit. There are, in terms of, earthquake and if you have certain calculations that you can do in terms of the seismic type of activity, I would, I think that, we have propane tanks and facilities like this all around the country where earthquakes are a little bit more possible. And so I don't know, to your question specifically, how much ground shift that creates, or whether it's the percussion or how that, but I would imagine, I can't answer your question directly, but I would think that the safety devices and the play that we have in the kind of built into the structure is sufficient enough to withstand that.
I'm not in that business, but
Yeah, no, I understand. I guess
for safety reasons,
yeah,
not only for us in town, but for you as a future employer.
absolutely.
That's all.
And I would like to speak to that a little bit. As I mentioned, the tanks, it's on concrete piers that are designed and engineered for this area. And I believe Bill went out there to take some samples of the ground that these piers are going to be buried into. So.
Mr.
Can I make a
Santos?
comment on this one?
Yep.
So one of our procedures in the zoning office and French River Materials has been cooperating with us. Is they are sending notices to the surrounding businesses that when they are going to blast. And so I would request that they send a notice to your company.
Mr. Santos?
I have one other question when you have a chance.
Thank you.
Usually those kids have seismic isolation, right? And all your connections have expansion.
Right, expansion joints, and it sits on a half-inch neoprene rubber on the pier itself.
Just be aware of one of the conditions on the blasting, we did not put a seismic monitor on the north side of the site. Specifically because it was on Rawson's property, was adjacent. He's the one doing the blasting. Please be aware of that, but I think it's good that we send a letter. Yeah.
You can adjust that when they confirm the renewal.
Do that as well. Yeah.
Ms. White?
Yes, I'd like to know, will the dispatching be done from Reardon Road or from your Groton office when people call to have a delivery?
So in the two phases of the project, phase one, it would be dispatched from our Groton office. Phase two, when we had an office building here, we potentially would have dispatch done from here.
Potentially. So it's not going to be local for a while.
No, well, it's not going to be local until we have, until we get to our phase two, which, you know, I would say our projections were 2 to 4 years for that.
Thank you.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Mr. Hill has made the motion to close the public hearing,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Rice. Any discussion on the motion to close? Hearing none, a yes will close the public hearing, a no will leave it open. Mr. Blackman.
Randy Blackmore, yes.
Dave Pakulski, yes.
John Rice, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Jane Salsa, yes.
Mike Vogel, yes.
All in favor, yes.
Ms. Langlois,
Charlene Langlois, yes.
Mr. Lenke,
John B. Linky, yes.
Joseph Purdy Brown, yes. The public hearing is closed. Item 4, discuss public hearing and possible action, application 22-40, Spicer Plus Incorporated. The application we just,
Do you understand with the information I sent out to you on the inland wetlands, like, you know, the minutes, the conservation note, and Marla's email today? You understand that they don't need to approve it because they're not working in the regular activity
Yeah.
area.
Thank you. Mr. Rice,
Just on that, how about the NDDA?
It's right here. I gave
It's
you that.
approved.
It's approved,
It's a
as I
condition.
said, it's the tech, they meet the requirements of the technical standards,
Okay.
yes. And so when they actually come in and put the system in, they still have to get approval.
Mr. Rice,
We'll make a motion to approve, Planning and Zoning Commission number 2240. But I'd like to put a condition with that approval in that prior to the construction of phase 2, they submit a site plan to us to look at.
Mr. Rice has made the motion to approve application 22-40 with the condition that prior to beginning phase 2, a site plan will be submitted to the commission.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Hill. Any discussion on the motion?
Just my reasoning for that, I'd like to see the type of building and that type of thing. I'm not that. I'm gonna change it then, but I'd like to look at that. If it's down 2 or 3 years down the road, maybe there's some improvements that we may suggest. The security, the fencing, et cetera, whatever it is, just to look at it.
You know, so this is to address the request for a waiver for the building that the applicant had made. Is that right?
What was the waiver? I missed that part. I don't need details.
The waiver was for the building details.
Can we
Well,
do a waiver for now?
So yeah, it's sort of like a temporary
Yes,
waiver.
yeah.
So that's what I was asking, right? Like, so that's why I was trying to clarify that this would waive it for now, but require it before phase 2 begins. Making sure we're all on the same page.
you that, Gloria?
It'll be on the recording.
Yeah.
We'll get it.
No, I just like to clarify it now.
So, yeah, so the condition would require the building plan before phase 2 is begun. Start construction.
Prior to construction of phase 2, site plans will be resubmitted to the commission for approval. Got that?
Sounds good.
What she said. Any further discussion?
Uh,
Mr. Raplansky.
Would you consider adding the fire training? Or, say 2 years offered fire training to the local departments for 2 years? They accept it, they don't, you know.
Every year.
Or every year, perfect, even better. Would you put that on as a condition?
Well, I thought they indicated they're gonna do that anyway.
We would like to do that, yeah.
Make it a requirement.
I don't know, just put it in a position. I don't know.
All right,
Okay, I hear no amendment to the motion. No.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, a yes will approve as amended, a no will deny. Mr. Hill.
Alvin Hill, yes.
Mike Kugel, yes.
Jane Saucy, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
John Rice, yes.
Dave Paplowski, yes.
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Ms. Langlois,
Charlene Langlois, yes.
Mr. Lanky,
John B. Lanky, yes.
Joseph Brody Brown, yes. The application is approved with condition.
Thank you for your time, everyone.
Welcome to town.
Application 22-34, application of Town of Thompson Planning and Zoning Commission, 815 Riverside Drive, annual update to Town of Thompson zoning regulations of 2021. Proposed amendments are attached, public hearing closed, discussion. And a vote is required this evening. I'm going to request that the planner read the summary that she prepared for us.
Joe, that's the wrong one called up.
Joe.
Yes.
Could,
No, that's not it
we
either.
amend, the agenda so we can get this other stuff done, because these other people will go get out of here, so they're not sitting here all night.
And I'd like to get this done. This is a pressing issue for us tonight.
I thought we only discussed with the agenda is like.
Yeah, that was the condition from the last meeting, that we would discuss the regulations if the regular agenda was light, and it doesn't appear that it is. We were going to pass it on to January or a special night.
We are holding up the codification process for the town currently.
And,
with this-
okay, explain that, please, so that, I mean, what is the rush?
We have a contract with a company that's putting our codes online, and they're on a time constraint.
When's the time constraint end?
The thing of it is, if
Presently.
everybody read the comments or the changes.
We
it
should be able to
shouldn't
move
take that
through, we
long
should be able to
go
move through this pretty quickly.
I didn't want to push it off for the night. I just wanted to push it off so we could get some of these people out here, so they're not sitting here.
I understand. But this does need to be a priority for us.
Approve the changes and move on.
Just kind of find it.
Okay.
I can't find my file, so I'll just use the paper.
Well, my
Let
big
me
one?
use the big one for my astigmatism. Okay. Embarrassing and yet so useful. So we'll go through, Joe, as we discussed, just the items that need specific action. And I'll include just the note up front for the benefit of the folks in the Zoom room. The chair has indicated his intent to have the PZC vote on each item individually for acceptance prior to the commission taking up an up or down vote on the entire package of amendments as amended by the votes on the individual items. This summary will indicate where new factual information was received during the public hearing that may bear upon the decisions of the commissioners. Where no new information was received, that will be indicated. To show contrast between the summary and the suggested edits, the current edits will remain boldface in red, with the summary and new language based on the public hearing shown boldface in green. Where the suggested amendment does not change the substance of the individual item, as in a simple word change or citation correction, for example, as in the first suggested edit to Article 1, Section 2, it is not addressed in this summary. Based on the advice of counsel, all spelling, grammar, formatting, citation errors may be addressed by an affirmative vote on the following. The 2022 zoning regulations update shall also correct all spelling, grammatical, formatting, and citation errors that may be found in the current document. So I would recommend we pause after each of those, Joe, for your vote.
Yeah. Sure.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Lanky,
did you miss something?
I'm sorry.
Did you miss an agenda? How about citizen comments? You jumped right into this one.
No, this is still item 4, Mr. Lanky.
No. Oh, yeah.
You're doing application what, 2234?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then how come on the agenda here, it's number 6, and we missed 5?
I'm not sure, Mr. Linky, you must be looking at an incorrect agenda. The agenda that I have in front of me that is the agenda that the rest of the commission has this as a second item on number 4.
I have the answer to that. John, you picked up your agenda before we made the correction on, you picked up your packet before we made the correction on the agenda.
Okay, there you go. Now it's clarified.
Email.
Yeah, and that was sent by an email, John.
So send an email.
Yeah. So thank you, Mr. Linky. Okay, so I will accept the motion. I move to approve the 2002 zoning regulations update shall also correct all the spelling, grammatical, formatting, and citation errors that may be found in the current document. I move to approve that statement.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Brody Brown, seconded by Mr. Blackmer. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, in that case, I will call for the ayes and the noes. All those, Mr. Linky?
I got, where the hell did I put it? Damn it. I got some paper. I got a piece of paper here with some changes that would need to be done on section 4 and section 3.
Okay,
So-
we're not there yet, John. We're just voting on the first statement that all spelling, grammatical, formatting, and citation errors found in the document will be updated.
Continue.
Thank you, Mr. Lincoln. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. So Article 2, Section 3.
Yep. And again, just for clarity, we're skipping anything where there's no substantive change. For example, Article 1, Section 2 is just the addition of a word that does not change the substance. So we're just going to where there are open questions. Article 2, Section 3, application of regulations. Currently reads, these regulations are intended to state the uses or the establishment of uses of lands and or buildings and structures that are permitted within the town. Uses not stated are not permitted. The change would strike from that item, uses not stated are not permitted, and instead add, it says here letter B, by the way, this is one of those citation errors. When I do a copy paste, it changes the outline numbers sometimes, but would add the new item. Uses not stated generally are not permitted. However, the commission acknowledges that uses may be proposed which were not anticipated at the adoption of these regulations, but which may be favorable to the town. To that end, in any district of the town, an applicant may propose such a use to the commission under the special permit level of review. In the table of uses for each district, this opportunity is indicated in the use column with the text, any other uses reasonably related to the intended purpose of this district as determined by the commission. And in summary, no new factual information was received. Public comment received on the topic has been heard and addressed previously, resulting in the suggested addition of what's indicated here as letter B.
I move the approval of section B. Article 2, section 3B.
Motion has been made to approve language in Article 2, Section 3B by Mr. Blackmer. Seconded by Mr. Rice. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, I will call for the yeas and the nays. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the language is approved.
Skipping to Article 4, Section, I'm sorry. Here we go. Article 4, Section 4, general provisions for all districts. Number 5 currently reads household domestic fowl. The keeping of household domestic fowl is permitted in all districts with the following limitations. A, setback shall be as for an accessory structure to the primary building greater than 200 square feet, regardless of the dimensions of any coop or other structure to house the domestic fowl. B, no more than 10 domestic fowl of any combination of species or breed shall be permitted. C, roosters are not permitted in the CRD, DMRD, LD, or any section of the TCDD where the minimum lot size is 4,500 square feet. And D, where the keeping of more than 10 birds is proposed, the applicant shall be subject to the provisions described in Article 4A, Section 4D, livestock. The amendment proposes striking that entire section and replacing it with a lengthy section. I will call to your attention the areas where we have new changes suggested in green based on input during the public hearing. So the new proposed text is as follows. Article 4, Section 4, general provisions for all districts. 5, as of right poultry and livestock. A, in furtherance of Thompson's commitment as a right to farm community, the keeping of poultry and livestock for recreation, food, and fiber is considered an as of right use. B, where the keeping of more than the as of right number of poultry or livestock is proposed, whether for an agricultural business or for more intensive homestead farming, the applicant shall be subject to the provisions described in Article 4A, Section 4D, livestock. For as of right levels of poultry and livestock, and here we have a proposed change from the wetland agent. See subparagraph C below for conditions and limitations that apply. That has not been controversial. The underlined section, I believe the commission did wish to discuss, except that in the Lake District, LD, the keeping of livestock, non-swine small, livestock, non-swine large, and livestock swine is prohibited on any basis except as a pre-existing non-conforming use. C, the maximum as of right number of poultry or livestock permitted shall be as determined by the actual dimensions of the subject property as follows. The sizes of subject properties are broken up into less than 15,000 square feet, 15,000 square feet to 39,999 square feet, 40,000 square feet to 110,000 square feet, and greater than 110,000 square feet. It's very difficult to read a table in a way that makes sense to the audience, so I apologize, it's going to be confusing. The 4 levels, the 4 as of right levels for the 4 property sizes for each of the categories of livestock or poultry are as follows. For poultry small, 10, 25, 50, 150. Poultry large.
Yeah, here it's 12.
It says 12.
I'm sorry, yes, I'm sorry, 12, thank you. 12, 25, 50, 150. Poultry large, 0, 0, 2, 12. Livestock honeybees, 3 colonies and 2 nukes. 5 colonies and 2 nukes, unlimited and unlimited. Livestock non-swine small, 0, 3, 6, 25. Livestock non-swine large, 0, 1, 4, 10. Livestock swine, 0, 0, 0, 6. D, the categories of poultry and livestock are delineated as follows. 1, poultry small are domesticated chickens, ducks, geese, guinea hens, partridges, pheasants, quails, and turkeys. This category also includes rabbits to conform to USDA classifications. 2, poultry large are domesticated emu, ostrich, peacocks, and any similarly sized species. 3, livestock honeybees are any of the domesticated subspecies of Apis mellifera. 4, livestock non-swine small are domesticated animals other than those fitting the definition of household pets with an average mature weight between 30 and 500 pounds. Examples include, but are not limited to, alpacas, goats, ponies, sheep, and miniature breeds of livestock otherwise classified as large. 5, livestock non-swine large are domesticated animals with an average mature weight over 500 pounds. Examples include, but are not limited to, camels, cows, donkeys, horses, llamas, and mules. 6, livestock swine are domesticated animals belonging to the taxonomic family Suidae, other than those fitting the definition of household pets. E, livestock housed on a property on a temporary basis, less than 60 days, are exempted from as of right limitations. A new suggested amendment based on the public hearing, juvenile livestock shall be exempted from as of right limits until such time as they reach maturity. F, roosters are not permitted on any property which is less than 1 acre in size. G, setbacks for any structures to the house, setbacks for any structures to house the as of right number of non-swine livestock or poultry shall be as for an accessory structure to the primary building greater than 200 square feet, regardless of the dimensions of the structure. H, setbacks for any structures to house the as of right number of swine shall not be less than 300 feet from any property line. The keeping of swine as of right thus is limited to properties of 110,000 square feet in size or greater. Summary. Under letter B, the underlined section is language suggested by the wetlands agent based on her concerns regarding the impact of livestock agriculture on the health of the lakes in this district. Under letter E, the addition of an exemption for juvenile animals is suggested based on input from the public hearing. Both of these items should be voted on separately before voting on Article 4, Section 4, General Provisions for All Districts, 5, As of Right Poultry and Livestock in its entirety.
So then, if we can look at Article 4, Section 4, 5B, the language. The subparagraph C below for conditions and limitations that apply, except that in the Lake District, the keeping of livestock, non-swine, small livestock, non-swine, large, and livestock swine is prohibited on any basis except as a pre-existing non-conforming use. I'll move to approve that amendment.
We gotta wait for discussion on that.
Well, we can discuss it after.
Make the second and then you can discuss. I'll second it.
Motion made by Mr. Peretti Brown, seconded by Mr. Blackmer to approve the language in Article 4, Section 4, 5B. Any discussion on the motion?
Yep, the Lake
Mr.
District,
Williams.
I don't know who made the Lake District, but it's way too big. There's too much property further off of the lake that's in the Lake District that could be sold out to people for smaller homesteads. And it's not fair to the restricted them properties. There's it's way too far off of the lake.
I can answer
Mike?
Mr. Williams' question as to how it was created. That was created by the wetlands agent and the conservation agent at the time when they were given the task to come up with appropriate boundaries. That is how that was come up.
In my opinion, it's way too far off of the lake. You're getting into Babula's farm, you're getting into Menarik's farm, you're getting into farms on Quadic. It's too restrictive for the landowners, on my opinion.
But they can still come in for a special permit and get
They
it.
shouldn't have to come in for a special.
I understand
permit.
that.
Why should we restrict these people? That's just my opinion, it just don't seem right to me for us to be God over these
I
people that own
understand
the
the
property.
boundaries were created.
Miss-
so.
Mr. Kroll.
Should there be a distance then of a certain number of feet away from the water area that you're looking for, like 500 feet, 1,000 feet away from them?
I'd like to see something like that, yeah.
Well, and so my understanding is that when
But the way this is written, we either gotta approve it or not approve it, because it's gotta be, it's too late to rewrite it now, right?
Unless, yeah,
We
unless
have
we
the
could
verbiage.
construct that language precisely right now, which for something of that nature, I would not recommend. So I would say you want to vote yes or no on the language up to the controversial part. Just the controversial part, whether you want to include that or not.
it would be except that in the Lake District, the keeping of livestock, et cetera, is prohibited on any basis except as a pre-existing non-conforming use. That would be Mr. Santos.
Why don't you just do individual votes on this one for majority?
Certainly, yeah. I would just say that, I think the Lake District was created by those town staff members based on the effect that those
But the
properties.
people were
that
never
the-
consulted.
Based on the effect that I was speaking, Mr. Williams, to try to let you finish, I would appreciate the same courtesy. Based on the effect that actions in those properties would have on the waterways. I mean,
I know that area also, and I believe it is restricted to those farms up on Bahula and some of the other ones. They are far enough away from the lake that they should not be included. There should be an exemption so that they do not have to go in and file another paper or pay another fee in order to get what they want.
They're non-conforming.
Yeah, so they, I mean,
Yeah, that is actually addressed in the language here, which is
So they
it's
would-
prohibited except as a pre-existing non-conforming
Right.
use. So in both of those instances, that would apply.
Mr. Bones.
If somebody was to break up a piece of property, like I hate to bring up names, but the Monarch Farm, and you know, they got 100+ acres over there. If they wanted to sell off some 5-acre lots that's on that backside, that's all the way away from the lake, but it's considered the Lake District because that's where it was put. There's plenty of that property is far enough away that people should be able to homestead on them properties if they want to.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Ms. Langlois, were you trying to be recognized?
Yep. I guess my question is that if it's non-conforming, then the people that have property now, like the Monarchs, if they do nothing with it, they're good because they're already set. If they break off a piece of property, could we put in there because they were on this big piece of property, then they wouldn't have to pay, but we could listen to what they're looking for? Is that something that we could do? I mean, obviously, if it's a new person coming in, buying a piece of land, then they have to conform to what we've already done. But if it's a family that's owned property, could we look at that a little different?
I'm trying to project for Marley here, because this is based on her suggestion. Her suggestion is based entirely on the potential for nutrient loading into the lakes. That is her purpose.
Mhm.
The commission has the option to accept or reject that purpose. If you accept it, then a subdivided property would be subject to whatever the regulations are. If you agree with Mr. Williams' point and you find that too restrictive, you can vote not to accept Marla's suggestion. But once you accept it, if you're already talking about making exceptions, then you should just vote not to adopt it, because you're already talking about how can you work around your own regulations. So it's really
Right.
what your intent is as a commission.
Mr. Crowell.
Just understand this. Anyone who now owns property in the Lake District can have whatever they want on that property.
If they're already doing it.
They have to have them there now.
They have to have the swine there now or whatever else. So you're stopping anyone that does not have an animal there currently from getting anything.
That is what the
So it
wetlands
doesn't-
agent
so-
is
so it
suggesting.
Doesn't matter whether or not you divide the land, subdivide the land or whatever you want to do. It's prohibited.
Yeah.
That's correct. I understand the runoff aspect of it. And that should be considered, but, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Crowell. Ms. Langlois, did I cut you off again?
No, I'm not, I'm just saying, I know that we put this to the wetlands, and when we were having meetings and talking about it as a commission, we felt like we needed better understanding, and that wasn't our forte, so we reached out to them. I trust what they're saying. I'm just trying to see if there was another way around it. So it's not that I'm going against what they're saying. I was just trying to see if there was something else that it could help, but I totally agree with Marla. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Langlois.
Can I just make one quick
Ms. Dunn?
comment? If you don't vote on this now and you open it up, you have some more smaller lots on the lakeside than you have the larger ones that could potentially be resold and develop 5 acres or so. Don't forget, you are also taking away the 150-foot setback for farms. So if you don't pass something for the Lake District, you're going to find chickens and cows and whatever, horses all over smaller lots, because your setbacks are going to be different now. Just telling you it's a violation, it's a zoning issue, so.
Thank you, Ms. Dunn. Mr. Rice?
The purpose of the wetland, they're just trying to protect the quality of the water that's important. And as I won't say everybody, but I know they have a big problem right now with the weeds and everything else that they're trying to control. Imagine if there's more nutrients that go in and that create that kind of stuff for the property owners around the lake.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we'll take a yes or no vote on the language. Except that in the Lake District, the keeping of livestock, non-swine small, livestock, non-swine large, and livestock swine is prohibited on any basis except as a pre-existing non-conforming use. A yes vote will keep that language in the proposed amendments. A no vote will strike it. Mr. Blackmore,
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Mr. Poplawski,
Dave Paplowski, yes.
All right,
Mr. Williams,
Ray Williams, no.
Ms. Lawson,
Jane Salcy, no.
Mr. Krogel,
no,
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Ms. Langlois,
Yes.
Mr. Lenke,
No.
Joseph Purdy Brown, yes. There's 6 votes in favor, 4 votes opposed. The language is staying in. He will now jump to 5.5E. That language, juvenile livestock shall be exempted from as of right limits until such time as they reach maturity. Mr. Rice,
we just voted on leaving that. in
leaving it
there.
in, yeah.
So do we have to vote to
Yes, this is a,
accept that section that we?
No, there's a second one in the section and then
okay.
the whole section.
so we're on that next page in
Okay.
juvenile livestock. Mr. Krogel,
Make the motion that we accept the new language for juvenile livestock.
Mr. Krogel moves, Mr. Hill seconds, approving the language juvenile livestock shall be exempted from as of right limits until such time as they reach maturity. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will call for the yeas and the nays. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the language is approved. Okay, item or Article 4, Section 4, general provisions for all districts. 5, as of right poultry and livestock. With the so all the language in red and blue is what we're looking at now from that same section. I would move the approval of Article 4, Section 4, general provisions for all districts. 5, as of right poultry and livestock.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Purdy Brown, seconded by Mr. Rice. Any discussion on the motion to approve? Mr. Williams?
I hate to do this again, but you know, somebody's got 30 acres. You shouldn't have to go to the appeals or in here to have more than 10 cows. It's just not right doing that to people. If, you know, somebody goes out and buys a farm somewhere and they can only have 10 cows. You know, that's just not right,
Thank you, Mr.
in my
Williams.
opinion.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
You want
we
to
will-
wait till Randy comes back on this one?
I'll take a roll call vote on this. Mr. Blackmer?
Randy Blackmer, yes.
And one more, then one.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
Is there any way we can word it that as the acres go up, the as of right numbers can go up?
Yeah, that's what the table does.
Well, it only goes up to 110,000 square feet. That's only, what, 2 acres? 3 acres?
3 acres.
Well, anything greater than
Yeah, right
hundred
here,
and ten
right
thousand
here.
square feet is the
You're making
10.
that combo.
Right,
Right.
Ray is
He- he
suggesting that
suggested
it goes up
scaling
and
it
up and up,
from
it's
that.
scaling.
Oh, right, so you could read it, so. It's greater than 110,000 square feet.
It's
But
sort of
100
this,
Greater than 110,000, can still only have 10.
That's what it says.
it's sort of the same dilemma, Ray, in that we don't have the exact, well, I mean, you know, we went through all that time with the Ag Commission and this is sort of where we came out and we don't have that specific amount. It's difficult to make an amendment like that at this point. I think you are probably better off accepting this, and then if you want to continue to revisit the table, like if maybe you want to expand that table, that could be a subsequent. I think that's probably a better choice. But it was intended to set up the difference between what you can do without seeing the commission at all, and at what point the intensity gets to be such that the commission just looks at your site plan just to make sure that your manure piles are in the right place, really. It's not meant to be onerous on any property owner.
Ms. Hussey.
But it is the way it is, and it's restrictive, and we continually restrict the landowners. Where do we stop? Have to come in and get special permission to do something on your own property? Object to that. Completely.
But no one
Thank you,
came in.
Ms. Hussey.
No one has come in. We've had this out for a year. We posted it everywhere everybody wanted to be. We did that and we had no input.
That's because I'm sorry.
Mr. Williams,
I'm speaking because I have gotten input from people, okay? A lot of people can't come in and sit at these meetings until 12 o'clock at night. So I do hear from people. It's restrictive. We are too restrictive as a community in what we are doing with this commission. I have said it from day one, a year ago. That's just my opinion.
thank you, Ms. Hussey. Mr. Williams,
And most people just. You know, they got 20, 30 acres, they want to put 15 cows on, it, they ain't gonna come in here, they're just gonna do it anyway, so, and that's already happening. And so I just think that's too, like I said, in my opinion, that's way too restrictive. I can see on the smaller properties, but when somebody buys a piece of property, you know, you bought that 80 acres up there, you wanted to put, suppose you wanted to put 20 cows up there, you gotta come in and ask that. I don't feel like you should have to.
No,
I really don't feel like you should have to do that.
It's not an illegitimate point, right? It's just, you know, at this point in the process with the input of which you were definitely a part. This is where we've landed, and we can always subsequently amend again if it's really determined that it's causing people hardship. That's why we've agreed, you know, as a group, as a commission, to look at things every year. Not every planning and zoning commission does that. That is a commitment that you guys have essentially made to do extra work to make sure you get it right.
Mr. Rice,
Well, the same thing, we keep on saying property rights, okay, you mentioned somebody owns 80 acres or whatever, but I only own 2 acres next to it, and that wooden line or with that farm, I thought it was just like that, then all of a sudden he has 500 cows on it. You know, what about the guy next door? You know, so you put a limit on it.
I will again do a roll call vote on this. So this is to approve Article 4, Section 4, general provisions for all districts. 5, as of right, poultry and livestock. Mr. Hill.
Alvin Hill, yes.
Mr. Krogel.
No.
Mrs. Elsie.
No,
Mr. Williams.
No.
Mr. Rice.
John Rice, yes.
Mr. Popowski.
Dave Plosky, yes.
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Ms. Langlois.
Charlene Langlois, yes.
Mr. Lenke.
no,
Joseph Freddy Brown, yes. And that is 6 votes in favor, 4 opposed. The language is approved.
Moving on, Article 4A, Section 3, General Development Standards. And that is, there's going to be a lot of these. This is for the RRAD. Dimensional requirements. The net buildable area shall not be less than 15,000 square feet. Summary, I'm sorry, let me read both pieces. 1, the minimum lot area for development in this district shall satisfy the Northeast District Department of Health standards for septic and potable water and shall be not less than 40,000 square feet. 2, the net buildable area shall be not less than 15,000 square feet. Summary, while differing opinions were expressed, no new factual information was received at the public hearing to contradict the recommendation for this amendment, which represents the consensus of staff and the chairs of the IWC, MISRAC, and PZC.
I move the approval of the language for 4A, Section 3A2.
I like the question of 15,000 square feet.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Motion, Mr. Purdy Brown moves, Mr. Rice seconds the approval of Article 4A, Section 3A2. Is there any discussion on the motion? Mr. Krogel.
I am fine with a standard or minimum lot size of 40,000 square feet.
don't understand why an area has to be 15,000 square feet minimum for buildable area. I think 10,000 is acceptable. If you have a septic system of 495, that would be what, 495 square feet you have to have, right? Plus a reserve. So that would only be 1,000 square feet total for a septic and a reserve. If you build a house with 2,000 square feet, that's 3,000. So you do with the other 7,000, or in this case, whatever, 12,000. You know, I just think 10,000 feet is big enough, and you don't need to have a minimum area of 15,000 square feet. 10 would be adequate.
Thank you.
You have small houses nowadays, you know, just people downsize, they shouldn't have to.
And to confirm to if that item is not accepted,
If the item is not accepted, currently there is no net buildable area requirement in any district because that was struck based on arguments made in the rewrite.
Which we were fine with a year ago.
Correct. The wetlands agent, and again, I'm channeling someone else here, but the wetlands agent did provide that long memo strongly recommending adding net buildable area, again, based on concerns about property constraints like wetlands, primarily wetlands, but some other kinds of constraints as well. So that if you have a 40,000 square foot lot in her construction and 30,000 of those square feet are wetlands constrained or otherwise constrained, you don't have a buildable lot. You have to have at least 15,000 square feet clear, unconstrained. So 15,000 is the level that she has suggested in the meeting, which we had with the wetlands agent, me, the first selectman, and the three chairs of the Wetlands Commission. So that was George, Joe representing Planning and Zoning, and Janet representing the Mill Sites Redevelopment Committee. This was the consensus that we achieved, which in this case matches Marla's recommendation.
Well, I understand that, but I just think not everyone can afford nice property. They're gonna have to buy some property that's out there that is not pristine. And if they can get something under 10,000 square foot area, they should be able to do it. Not everyone has money.
thank you, Mr. Yeah, Mr. Lenke.
On that section 3A, yes, article section 3A, that's the part, it says the minimum lot area. I think she just read it, but I'm just gonna review it quickly. For development in this district shall satisfy the Northeast District Department of Health standards for septic, boil water, and not less than 40,000 square feet. Would that be correct?
Yes.
Yes, but the item that's under discussion for amendment is number 2, which is the net buildable area.
Okay, so why don't we just add net billable area shall not be less than 15,000 square feet? And that was,
That's
the proposal.
That's what's in front of you. What Mike is suggesting.
he suggested 10.
10,000 instead. So in order for that to be the case, whoever made the motion would have to be convinced to amend the motion.
Joe, do it.
Please.
Miss Harvey.
The computer froze and I had to reboot, so I missed who made the first motion.
I did.
Did you second it?
Mr. Rice did.
Thank you.
So I guess if I can just ask some questions of the commission, right? Is the consensus of the commission that a net buildable area is desirable?
No, not mine.
I think there should be a net buildable area.
I agree.
Okay.
It would be consistent with your prior discussions that you have wanted to add the net buildable area back in.
It makes sense.
Okay, but now we have.
Yeah, so then my next question is, is the consensus of the commission that we're happier at 15,000 or 10,000?
We were happy with nothing.
We were happy at one
He's
point.
not happy, I'll settle for 15,000.
15,000.
Okay, I will not amend my motion. The motion is to approve the language as written. Any further discussion? Hearing none, a yes vote will approve, a no vote will strike the language. Mr. Blackmore.
Randy Blackmore, yes.
Dave Popolski, I'm voting with the chairs who helped write this amendment, I'm voting yes.
Mr. Rice.
yeah.
Ray Williams, yes.
James also, yes.
Mr. Furlong.
Mike Krugel, no.
Mr. Hill. Ms. Langlois.
Charlene Langlois, yes.
Mr. Lanky.
Yes.
And Joseph Purdy Brown, yes. That's 9 votes in favor, 1 opposed. Okay, so 4A, section 3D, frontage and setback requirements.
Oh, okay, I didn't have that as an item that needed vote. I thought you guys had already,
Well, then,
Clear that. That's up to you.
it
That's
does
up
seem
to you.
substantive to me.
You haven't voted on that yet.
No, yeah, so it does seem substantive to me,
Okay.
so we'll do, I move to approve the amendments in Article 4A, Section 3D. From 150 to 40,
2D.
4A, Section 3D, frontage and setback
Okay,
requirements.
Second.
Okay.
Motion has been made to approve the amendment, seconded by Mr. Rice. The change would be 150 to 40 in the front, 150 side and rear to 20 feet each. Ms. Dunn.
And I'm allowed to vote on this?
No, you are not. We're not in public hearing.
Let you know, if you do that, you have to remove.
We are not-
vote two.
Public. That was.
It-
70.
just go with what you got there, Joe.
Okay, any discussion on the motion?
Where are we?
Frontage and setback
Article
requirements.
4A, section 3D.
I'm looking at.
Any discussion on the motion?
Frontage and
None.
required.
Yeah, Mr. Lanky, I hear some.
But that'll include the accessory structures and sheds to 40 feet, removing, we can remove note 2.
That is a totally separate thing and it's addressed at the end.
Yeah.
This is
All right.
just, this is just the setbacks for livestock.
Hearing no further discussion, I'll call for the yeas and the nays. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. 180.
Okay, moving on,
For
Article
a section 4 agriculture, B livestock.
D livestock, number 5. Letter E. Currently reads, animal confinement areas shall not be located directly over land containing an on-site subsurface sewage disposal system. The suggestion is to strike that item. Summary, it was suggested by Jay Blanchett of J&D Engineering that letter E is unnecessary since subsurface sewage disposal systems are under the jurisdiction of the state and local health departments. Since NDDH would not allow a system under an animal shelter or any other building, Thompson zoning regulations do not need to address this. So the simple change, which was introduced following the public hearing, is just to strike that letter E, if you agree with that logic.
I so moved.
I second.
Mr. Blackmer moves, Ms. Langlois seconds, striking item E. Any 5E, yes. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Language is struck.
Okay, moving on to the next one of these, and this, we are now in the Common Residential District, CRD. Same thing essentially, same thing, different numbers. Article 4B, Section 3, General Development Standards. A, dimensional requirements, the minimum lot size shall be 45,000 square feet. New construction shall be permitted, provided that the requirement, thank you, 4,500, good catch, that would be bad. The minimum lot size shall be 4,500 square feet. New construction shall be permitted, provided that the requirements for setbacks and building height requirements are met. The suggested addition is number 2. There shall be no net buildable area requirement in this district. Summary, same observation. While differing opinions were expressed, no new factual information was received at the public hearing to contradict the recommendation for this amendment, which represents the consensus of staff and the chairs of the IWC, MISRAC, and PZC.
I'll make a motion that we accept.
Motion made by Mr. Hill to accept. 4B.
I'll second.
Seconded by Ms. Langlois. Any discussion?
I think that 4,500 square feet is too small for a house lot in the town of Thompson. We're gonna look like the back streets of Webster and Worcester before you know it. You can only afford that.
So to, strictly speaking, right, the amendment, the language we're voting on is number 2. Is the no net buildable area.
I agree.
You're not going there.
that 4,500 square feet is real small, but there's not many, there's very few places in town where that would even qualify, and I would leave it as is. I'm in favor of it.
Agree.
Okay, so the language, there shall be no net buildable area requirement in this district.
Why are we being discriminatory?
That has to do with the different intents of the different districts.
So the specific answer to your question, Mike, is that the wetlands agent found that since that district had no wetlands implications, there was therefore no requirement for net buildable area. It's all served by public utilities.
I will call for the yeas and the nays. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye. Nay.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.
Moving on in a similar vein.
Bottom
Now-
of the same page.
Yeah, in the Thompson Common Village District. Article 4C, Section 3, General Development Standards, A, dimensional requirements. Number 1, the minimum lot area for development in this district shall satisfy the Northeast District Department of Health's standards for septic and potable water and is not less than 40,000 square feet. 2, there shall be no net buildable area requirement in this district. And the same observation in summary. I will say to the boredom of hearing me read it again.
I move we accept the language for Article 4C, Section 3A2.
I'll make the motion to accept that.
Motion made by Mr. Brody Brown, seconded by Mr. Hill to approve the language. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay. Nay over here.
Way over here.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.
And I vote twice.
7-3.
Okay, in the middle of the next page.
Okay, same thing. In this case, for the Business Development District, BDD, Article 4D, Section 3, General Development Standards, A, lot area. I don't know if the citation numbers are right, but I assume they are. Number 3, for properties not served by public water and sewer, the net buildable area shall be not less than 15,000 square feet. 4, for properties served by public water and sewer, the net buildable area shall be not less than 4,500 square feet. Same summary.
And we approve the language as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Brody Brown, seconded by Mr. Blackmer. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Opposed.
I'm opposed.
Okay, I hear two votes in opposition, 1 abstention.
Was it Mike?
I abstain.
Yes,
Thank
Mr. Provost.
Thank you. Oh, we're getting there, guys. Moving on.
It's the second.
Mr. Williams and Mr. Lenke opposed.
Article 4E for the Thompson Corridor Development District, TCDD. Section 3 General Development Standards. Again, similar with what you just voted on. Number 3, for properties not served by public water and sewer, the net buildable area shall be not less than 15,000 square feet. 4, for properties served by public water and sewer, the net buildable area shall be not less than 4,500 square feet.
You asking what district they're in? Okay.
The TCDD.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Mr. Hill makes a motion to approve the language as presented.
I'll second.
Ms. Langlois seconds the motion. Any discussion on the motion for the Thompson Corridor Development District? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh,
No.
Mr. Krogel, Mr. Lenke, Mr. Williams, and Ms. Salsi vote in opposition.
Going back to the BDD district, did you vote on the setbacks, the change in the setback?
No. I don't understand.
Oh, you know why? Because that wasn't something we received any commentary on. Do you guys want to go do those? And I would say you can probably take them together, the BDD
Yeah.
and the TCDD. So the suggestion is under frontage and setback requirements in both of these districts, both the BDD and TCDD, where public water and sewer are available for a primary structure, non-residential use, 50-foot frontage, 10-foot front setback, 10-foot front side and rear setbacks, primary structure, residential use, frontage of 50 feet, front setback of 20 feet, side and rear setbacks of 10 feet. To be clear, the amendment is to add a category for non-residential use and residential use, with the residential use having the higher front setbacks than currently exists.
So this would be, they're gonna see where we are. This would be in both the business development district and the Thompson Corridor Development District. The proposed amendments are the same for both districts. I move we approve the amendments for both districts as written, seconded by Mr. Blackmer. Any discussion on those setbacks for residential and non-residential uses? Or, I'm sorry, as written, non-residential and residential. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
opposed.
Mr. Lenke opposes.
Did we do DMRD yet? I think we did not.
Did not.
Okay. Article 4, almost done, guys. Article 4F, Section 3, General Development Standards, A, dimensional requirements. The minimum lot size within this district shall be 4,500 square feet. New construction shall be permitted, provided that the requirements for setbacks and building height requirements are met. 2, the net buildable area shall be not less than 4,500 square feet. And just as a reminder, the reason why there is a net buildable area in the DMRD, which is not in the CRD, is that the wetlands agent found that there are some properties which are wetlands impacted. Therefore, if you had a 4,500 square foot property with 500 square feet of wetlands, you'd need an additional 500 square feet before you'd be able to build there. So that is why it is different.
And you also add that C to that, because you only change it.
Oh, do you want to add the setbacks as well?
Do you want to vote on them together or separately?
Sure.
Okay, sure. So C, similarly on the frontage and setback requirements, primary structure, non-residential use is as currently constructed, 50 feet frontage, 10-foot side, front side and rear setbacks. Adding primary structures for residential use would have 50-foot frontage, front setbacks of 20 feet, side and rear of 10 feet.
Any discussion on A2 or C? First, Article 4F, Section 3.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made by Mr. Hill, seconded by Mr. Blackmer to approve Article 4F, Section 3A2 and C. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
I'm opposed to it.
So mine. This is the DMRD district.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, no,
Yeah, put me in that category.
Okay, Mr. Lanky, Mr. Williams, Ms. Salsi, and Mr. Krogel oppose.
Excuse me, Karen, we want to give you.
I think it's just because John's.
Like,
Oh, no, I see. So the language is approved.
that's good.
Want to ask him.
Can they hear us?
They can hear you, but they can't see you.
While Tira is working on that, I'm going to.
I don't know, there's anything I can actually do about it.
Right. Article 4G, Section 1. The intent of the Lake District is to allow for the safe and reasonable use of properties in the areas surrounding Little Pond and Aquatic Lake. These regulations recognize the historic challenges to property owners in this area, where parcels were created prior to the adoption of zoning, leading to a high incidence of nonconformity for existing lots. Due to the sensitive nature of lakefront properties, uses in this district are more restricted than in other districts. See Article 4, Section 4, Paragraph 5B for limits on as of right livestock. This language suggested by the wetlands agent related to her concerns regarding livestock in this district and the health of the lakes. Inclusion of the statement would be tied to the results of the vote of the PZC on Article 4, Section 4, Paragraph 5, which we recall was to approve that language. So I would move to add the C Article 4, Section 4, Paragraph 5B for limits on as of right livestock. I move to approve that language. Seconded by Mr. Blackmer. Any discussion? Hearing none, a yes will approve the addition of that language. No, we'll leave it out. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Mr. Lenke, Ms. Salsi, Mr. Williams, and Mr. Krogel oppose. The language is approved. Dimensional, so we're in the same district, Article 4G, Section 1, dimensional requirements.
I can
A.
continue reading now.
Certainly.
There's nothing I can do about the camera. I apologize to the Zoom audience that the camera clipped out all on its own, so maybe it'll come back on its own. If you lose the sound connection, somebody type in so we can see. Dimensional requirements. A, lot size, the minimum lot area for development on new lots in this district shall be that which satisfies the NDDH standards for septic and potable water and is not less than 15,000 square feet. 2, the net buildable area shall not be less than 15,000 square feet. And again, in summary, while differing opinions were expressed, no new factual information was received at the public hearing to contradict the recommendation for this amendment, which represents the consensus of staff and the chairs of the IWC, MISRAC, and PZC.
I move the approval of the amendments in 1 and 2.
I second that.
Seconded by Mr. Williams. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The amendment is adopted.
Okay, then we've got a bunch here which are not substantive and just language or citations until we get to Article 7 definitions. And these are just things that were not entertained previously by the commission. Additions suggested again by the wetlands agent in her memo. She is asking that we add conservation easement, a voluntary legal agreement that permanently limits uses of the land to protect its conservation values as identified in the document entitled Conservation and Open Space Plan, Thompson, Connecticut, dated December 2005, prepared by the Thompson Conservation Commission as may be amended. She is also suggesting the addition of water courses shall be as defined in chapter 440, section 22A-38 of the Connecticut General Statutes, and wetlands shall be as defined in chapter 440, section 22A-38 of the Connecticut General Statutes. And those are the only ones that you had not seen previously.
Make a motion that we add the 3 new definitions: conservation easement, water courses, and wetlands as recommended by the wetlands agent in a memo of October 19th.
Second that.
Mr. Poplawski moved, Mr. Williams seconds, the addition of the 3 definitions for conservation easement, water courses, and wetlands. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the definitions are adopted.
Okay, last item, guys. Regarding the regulations related to front setbacks for accessory structures, the language regarding front setbacks for accessory structures was not a part of the original draft amendments, and it therefore properly should not have been discussed at the public hearing on 28th November. However, since it was discussed at that time in some detail, and since there is a strong desire on the part of some of the commissioners to revisit the issue, the following options are presented to the PZC to choose from as a part of this round of amendments. Wherever the language regarding front setbacks for the various districts occurs, Article 4A, Section 3D, footnote 2, Article 4B, Section 3D, footnote 1, Article 4C, Section 3D, footnote 1, Article 4D, Section 3D, footnote 1, Article 4E, Section 3D, footnote 1, Article 4F, Section 3C, footnote 1, Article 4G, Section 3D, footnote 1. Wherever that language occurs in those places, choose between the following 3 options. Option 1, the language as written. When the application is for new construction of the primary structure, the setback for an accessory structure shall equal or exceed that of the primary structure. Where there is an existing primary structure that predates the adoption of these regulations, the commission may waive the front setback requirement based on the physical characteristics of the site. Rationale. This language was the majority vote of the members of the PZC the last time the topic was discussed in 2021. The majority vote of the PZC has consistently been to put limits on accessory structures in front yards since the topic was first brought up during the 2020 rewrite, based largely on concerns for property values in residential neighborhoods and the impacts of large, potentially cluttered structures in front yards, similar to the concerns over box trailers. Option 2, strike the existing language and edit the front setback dimensions for accessory structures to match those of the primary structure in every case. Rationale. In addition to the strong feelings on the topic shown by some commissioners, in practice, the PZC has voted to waive the requirement every time it has come before the commission. If the result is always a waiver, what is the purpose of the prohibition? Option 3, amend each table to allow accessory structures less than or equal to 200 square feet footprint within the same setbacks allowed for the primary structure in each district. Meaning, in 4A, 40 feet, 4B, 10 feet, 4C, 40 feet, 4D, 10 or 20 feet based on non-residential or residential use, 4E, 10 or 20 feet based on non-residential or residential use, 4F, 10 or 20 feet based on non-residential or residential use, 4G, 10 feet, with the current requirements remaining in place for accessory structures greater than 200 square foot footprint. Rationale. This would be a compromise that would accommodate for the concerns about the visual impact to neighborhoods which led to the original provision, while still allowing the construction of small accessory structures that would be in keeping with common uses, garden sheds, gazebos, etc. 3 options.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow for a brief period of discussion. I think most of us, our minds are already made up on this issue, but I do want to allow for the opportunity for discussion. However, the vote, when called, will not be a simple yes or no vote. What I'm going to do is ask everyone to rank their choices, right? So I think some of the confusion that has occurred around this is that we've voted binarily about a three-pronged issue. So we will go through each option, after the period of discussion, we will go through each option. I will ask for who that's their first choice, for whom that's their second choice, and for whom that's their third choice. And then I'll do a little bit of simple math. And
I'll be right there with
we'll,
you.
we'll determine which is the recommendation of this commission. Is that clear enough to everyone?
Repeat that for me, please. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, so I
Doing
do.
ranked choice voting, it's awesome.
I do want to allow a brief period of discussion. As I said, I think most of us probably already have an opinion, but I do want to make sure that the commission has a chance to offer any discussion that they think is appropriate on this topic.
Okay,
Mr. Kergel,
if I may.
you may.
So as I understand this, option one is to leave it as it is right now
Correct.
and have to have the accessory structures behind. the
Correct.
existing. Number two would be to strike it all and just go with your standard setback.
Whatever the front
requirements.
setback is, that's the front setback.
Correct,
And three would be the compromise.
Correct.
correct.
Um. It's just like that was brought up that, well, it's not. But. When this was voted on back in 2020 or early 2021. It was the voice of. The members to do a certain way. And we as a member voted that, which I disagree with on the vote. But at least here we are questioning our own words instead of taking advice from other entities. Like with the dimension of buildable area. I think, can I state my opinion here, or should, what my choice would be, or should I just leave that to a vote?
I think we know what you're.
Can I? We
Yeah,
all
I
know
have no
what my-
reason
we
why
all
you.
know what my choices are. right?
Yeah. Mhm.
I think we should just go with regular setback because it's your property, you should be able to do what you want with it. Thank you.
That he, no, I
It's
don't,
not a vote yet, Gloria.
yeah. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. So again, we're gonna go option by option. I'm gonna ask for your, all those who this is your first choice, all those who this is your second choice, and all those who your third choice. Okay. So for anyone who, keeping the language as written, if that is your first choice, please raise your hand or let me know by shouting at me through the Zoom. I see 0.
Look at that.
If your top choice is striking the existing language and matching, having a one set of setbacks across the board, please indicate by raising your hand. Yeah, so if this is your first choice, if number 2 is your first choice, raise your hand or indicate in some other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
One hand down. Yeah, just one up.
Double vote.
John or Charlene, neither of you?
Yeah, their hands up.
I'm sorry, John
Char-
Lanky or Charlene?
Charlene's got her hand up. in the Zoom.
Charlene. Okay. And if the compromise position is your top choice, please indicate by raising your hand or letting me know through the Zoom.
Great.
Yeah, so, okay. Okay, if keeping the language as it was written is your second choice, please indicate by raising your hand. If the absolute, if striking the existing language is your second choice, please indicate by raising your hand. John,
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this your second choice? You only have the first choice.
You only have the first.
Okay. This is my second choice. Okay. And if keeping the language as written was your final choice, please raise your hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keeping as written, final choice, yeah.
Yeah,
Final,
okay.
Yeah.
So the striking the existing language is the definitive
Yes.
winner.
Number two.
Number two.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
all right.
Number two.
Number
Yeah.
two.
Okay,
yes.
you guys are
Okay.
done with the individuals, so now you can.
So
vote
what
on
I
the
would like to
whole.
do now is to move approval of the sum total of amendments as presented and as voted,
Thank you. I have one question.
Mr.
What about this thing here with the shared driveway?
And the box trailers and the those are the definitions.
Yeah, those are just definitions. Those were already in there in the last round everything we were looking at here was the stuff in green. You'd already seen the other stuff.
Everything else was already voted on in the subcommittee.
I thought we were gonna take them separately to vote on these.
I mean, you can, but you've
Yeah.
already addressed them.
Especially the shared driveways.
Shared driveway.
We didn't address the shared
And-
driveways.
Subcommittee.
We've never came to a conclusion on
No,
that.
we did not.
Okay, great. Let's vote on the definition of driveway. Driveway, a private access way connecting one or more buildings to a public or private street. The term shared driveway is used when the private access way connects multiple buildings with different owners for tenants in an undivided lot, e.g. for a condominium development, a business park, or similar uses, or connects multiple lots in a subdivided parcel. Okay, all those in favor, now I'll do
You need a
roll call
motion.
vote. I move the acceptance of the definition of driveway.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion made by Mr. Purdy Brown, seconded by Mr. Krogel? Motion to approve. Any discussion on the motion?
We don't have shared driveways in our regulations. How can we have that in there?
They are in your regulations.
Yeah.
They currently are in your zoning regulations under general.
I looked through there one.
They're in Article 4, general provisions. We're in the definition.
Well, we didn't come to any conclusions on the shared, in the subcommittee meetings. We didn't.
No,
come-
it's not, that was my fault for misspeaking. The subcommittee meetings, we're talking about the
The subdivision
Subdivision.
regulations is up for,
shared driveways
Discussion.
exists in the zoning regulations. As written.
in other words, if you currently are proposing a development that is on an unsubdivided parcel but has multiple structures, the requirement, which has been since the update, is that that development shall have a shared driveway.
Oh,
So like an office park, a strip mall, a multifamily development, a condo, an unsubdivided parcel. But the subdivision regulations, you are correct, Jane, that is still up for discussion and
It
has
is.
not been resolved.
yeah. So we are just voting on this as a definition.
Correct.
It is not written in blood yet,
Well,
correct?
is
It
in.
is in your zoning
Yes, I get- I
regulations.
get
But
it,
not
but
the
not in your
subdivision.
subdivision
We had
Correct.
regulations.
gone over it like we did with some of the other things. Okay,
the
so we're just
subdivision.
trying the definition. All right,
We're gonna do that next time.
we're gonna do, yeah,
Yeah, we're getting back to those later.
Okay.
We got to get through this stuff.
okay.
Any further discussion? Okay, and all those in favor of accepting the definition of driveway, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Miss, I made the motion.
I think Mike seconded it.
Mr. Krogel seconded, yeah. Okay, with that, I move the approval of the amendments as written and as voted upon this evening to be accepted.
Second.
Is there any further discussion on the motion?
Do you want to wait until those two come back? Since this is your whole slate.
We'll see what the vote is. Yeah. There you go. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take the vote and if we need them, we'll
Okay.
ask them to vote. Okay.
Fair enough.
So a yes vote is to accept the amendments, a no vote is to not accept them. Mr. Hill. Yes. Mr. Krogel,
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Langlois, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Mr. Lanky,
Yes.
Mr. Blackmer,
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Joseph Purdy Brown, yes.
Okay, so we don't care what they
But
are.
the minutes show that Mr. Poslowski and Ms. Salsi had stepped out of the room. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you for a good process. Item 5, citizens' comments.
My name's old 640 Fabian Road. You know, the whole transparency thing. So I have two questions. One is for a friend. If a said rooster resides on a property that is less than an acre, can that rooster be humanely eradicated legally by the non-resident of that property?
You mean it's visiting without permission?
That's something you have to call the Department of Ag.
Okay, just want to ask for a friend.
Yeah, okay.
Don't shoot the messenger.
Oh, okay.
Or the rooster.
So in other words, there's a great piece of property that obviously has a rooster on it that's less than an acre, and the person's asking, can that rooster be eradicated in a humane, legal fashion? That's all. So anyways, the reason why I'm really here. I'm here in support of a bistro, said bistro, Jill's Bistro in town. As you know, I am a entertainer performer. I've played around the United States, and I'm here to say that I'm in violation every Thursday night at 6:00 PM to sound decibels. As you all know, I'm in a band. And my decibels are far greater on Thursday nights at my house than they are at Jill's Bistro with an acoustic act. And I just find it odd that there's other venues in town that have entertainment, have performed. And there's been no issues. So this bistro, up and coming, is in an entertainment district. And I'd like to see that something gets done where we are pro-business versus anti-business and making people jump through hoops. For an acoustic act, be inside, you need some amplification. And the doors are closed. And I'll just tell you right now, come on down to my house on a Thursday, you can call the police because actually the drummer is a state detective, state police officer, and our decibels are far greater than what's happening over there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Clark has her hand up in the Zoom.
Thank you, Ms. Clark.
Valerie Clark, 105 Elm Road. I just want to go on record. First of all, I'm pleased that these regulations went through. However, although they represent an improvement over what existed prior, I agree with Mr. Williams about the Lake District. I think it is an onerous restriction. And then I want to go on record yet again as the attribution to the Ag Commission of the grid of by right animals should not be made. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Seeing no other citizen comments at this time. Applications, there were none. Applications received after agenda posted.
None.
There were none. Item 8, old business, 27 Main Street, amend site plan approval.
Does anybody have any
Cindy.
questions on any notes that I wrote in my memo? Anything explained? Okay. So all she's asking to amend her site, you know, the just like we did for the wedding venue on West Thompson Road. Did Mary have any questions for her?
Do we need a motion to amend it?
You need a motion.
I make a motion, we amend the. I make a motion, we amend the permit Like we did it-
Site plan review permit, yes.
Site plan review.
Okay, motion has been made to amend the site plan permit
Yeah.
for
Oh.
27 Main Street,
Can I say why I'm?
certainly.
So, you know, I looked through, you look through our regs. We have identified outdoor dining and entertainment outdoor dining, right? It's till 9:30, 10 o'clock. So we regulated that. I think it's, I don't have it, it's like 9:30 or 10 for outside dining, entertainment.
I don't know, because I didn't even make reference to
So-
it as outdoor dining.
Well, I'm just,
Okay.
that's why I'm making the motion. So we regulated outdoor dining, entertainment, 9:30, 10 o'clock, depending if it's residential, it's 9:30. Of residential abutting, it's 9:30. If it's non-residential, no one abutting it, it's 10 o'clock. So if we have outdoor acoustics and entertainment outside until 9:30 or 10, I don't see why we should be restricting Jill G or her business. So that's why I make the motion.
So are you amending to include acoustics, not amplified, disc jockeys, live bands, comedians, and karaoke?
No, we're amending to approve what is on her liquor permit renewal. She's
Well, I have to
amended.
file separately.
Yeah.
I have to file a
Right.
new to add entertainment. So currently, just for clarification, what I had checked off originally was karaoke, which would be amplified,
Yeah.
which does give me the rights for amplification. And I checked off acoustics because I had no intentions of having large bands there. These are 1 and 2 man bands. Under the acoustics, it says not amplified, right? But on the karaoke side, I'm amplified. So now after talking to the liquor commission, what they explained is this happens often. And after looking at other liquor permits in our town, I can see that it happens often because I'm not alone. So now I'm refiling with the liquor commission to include live bands and comedians.
So let me
Check boxes.
So let me read off exactly what you're applying for your amendment to the Labor Commission. Acoustics not amplified, disc jockeys, live bands, comedians, and karaoke.
Correct.
That's what
And
you're
I-
applying for in your amended liquor
And I
permit.
currently have
Just
him permitted for acoustics and karaoke.
Right.
The misinterpretation was the live bands, because to me, I wasn't having Tom's band
Yeah.
in my little bistro. I was having 1 or 2 people, and I do want to comment on this a little bit. So I've taken about a $3,000 loss this month. As a result, I employ 4 townspeople. I've had cancellations because bands can't perform without acoustics, right? Someone shows up with a keyboard, there's a speaker. To that point, if I have dining music in the background of my bistro on a speaker, what's that mean? So this is, I think, in general, this needs to be clarified across the town, because I am not alone in this, and I don't want to sell out other local businesses, because I'm here to defend myself. But there's clear misinterpretation as far as who regulates this. Does the town regulate it? Does the state regulate it? Our permitting process does not call this out clearly. There is nothing on a site plan that says, are you having entertainment and what's your provisions? And everyone, liquor permit in this town is completely different. Places that I've actually coordinated through and know that they've had entertainment would technically, under what I'm being kind of called out for, would not be permitted.
So, Mr. Popowski, your amendment to the current application is to include entertainment. Be noted on the application for adding live entertainment.
Yep.
And that would be
Mr.
for
Chairman,
the-
if I may, just since I pulled out the regulation that
5E.
Dave cited.
Yep, I
Excuse
think
me,
you could
but
read that.
I put it here, what she is requesting. She's requesting what is on her liquor permit. Her amended liquor.
So we
permit.
go with what you are requesting.
Yes,
It's on that paper. correct?
yes, and that's what I would
That's right,
put on her.
So I had 2 categories.
And the
I
time-
don't know.
I
and the
would put on
time
her
frame would
amended
be-
Site plan
Yeah.
approval.
The
Yeah.
9:30, 10 o'clock.
Yeah, and,
Yep.
and.
But you want to put,
My bistro is only open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We typically have only had music on a Friday or a Saturday, and I'm okay with making that commitment. I'm not looking to keep people who are going to work in the morning up. I question the actual volume that was being complained about, and would suggest, should we encounter this in the future, there be some type of decibel reading, because a phone recording is not accurate. I have similar recordings that are far softer, right? So who do you believe? So there has to be a better process
I
around this,
agree.
just in general.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. And you
So
said, and so the 9:30, 10 o'clock, it would end at that time, correct?
No, this is, so
That's outside.
this is outside, I was
What-
referencing.
what-
So
what-
just one.
What do you?
Oh, my word.
The latest we go is 10 o'clock. My bistro's closed by 10:30. It's pitch dark there. But I think, but I would say this to that point, is if we're gonna create stipulations, then they need to be stipulations similar to what Dave's pointing out, that's consistent to everybody. So if we're gonna have inside
Yeah.
stipulations,
It
then I
has to,
don't
it
think
has
it
to
should
be
be based
across
on
the
one
board.
complaint.
It has to be
Absolutely.
across the
There
board.
should be a
Yeah.
guideline.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So you
So-
can, you can put a condition of time if you want to. I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm just
sure
trying to,
that's-
we have a motion that I'm just trying to clarify the language of the motion on. Mr.
I
Papas.
am not setting any time. We have a noise ordinance, so we have something that,
No,
We don't have.
I'm not putting a time on it.
So
I'm
are
not putting-
you are
my
amending the
proposal is
current,
not with time.
to amend the current application to include entertainment noted on the application for adding live entertainment.
well, I think you should specify in your motion so that there's no question going down the road that she is asking for acoustics, not amplified, disc jockey, live bands, comedians.
And that's reasonable. I think if we have the outdoor at 10. The outdoor is at 10, if abutting
No, if it's abutting
Residential.
residential, then it's 9:30.
9:30. So,
So 9:30 would be.
So
reasonable.
I just want, so Mr. Popowski, you are amending the current application to include live entertainment, including acoustics, disc jockeys, live bands, comedians, and karaoke. That's what I had asked and you said no. That's why I was confused. That's-
Okay,
that is my motion.
Okay,
And the motion, the time frame is 9:30.
to be played till 9:30. Ms. Song.
that is for outside, correct?
No,
The
he's
9:30.
saying for, no, he's saying this is the
Inside.
motion he is making
Okay,
for this application, for this.
okay.
Second,
Second, motion has been made and seconded. Is there further discussion on the motion? Ms. Song.
Yes, okay,
Charlene's got her hand up too. just so you
Yes,
know.
thank you.
so you prefer 10.
Honestly, it doesn't matter. I prefer consistency.
Well, that's where I'm trying to go. I'm trying to say, because as we learned,
Well, I compromise 9:30, of course I would, with, without refute. However, if we're gonna enforce this with me,
it has to be enforced with everybody.
absolutely,
Yeah,
and their different
absolutely.
permits need to be updated.
Yes, absolutely. Okay.
Ms. Langlois and then Mr. Santos.
Yep, I just think that by adjusting, I think it should be, well, drafters stays open till 11 and plays till 11. So I don't think that we should, if we're gonna go down to 9:30 for the bistro, then are we going down to 9:30 for drafters? And that's gonna be an issue. So I think it should be 10 o'clock. If the bistro, we have to be careful because if the bistro's not there, the person that owns the building will never be able to get somebody to come in there and do anything. Do you know what I'm saying? So the regulations that we're setting, make sure that if you're setting it at 9:30, everything's shut down in Thompson at 9:30. Is that what we're saying? Or do we?
Read it.
What's the liquor license say? What's the liquor license for serving, pouring alcohol? Is it 1?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, 1
That's
o'clock.
considered a residential area, correct?
An entertainment area.
It's an entertainment area.
Upstairs of our building,
Yeah,
so historically, that was an entertainment venue, right? So we're on Main Street. So
Yeah.
I'll just preface with, this is our Main Street.
yeah.
And the third floor of that building is actually an old ballroom and music hall. Danny DeJesus's apartment was the old theater. So I presume that that's why it's zoned in the way that it is as far as an entertainment district, because historically, and I actually pulled from the Historical Society and I believe provided Cindy a copy, there's a write-up on the building and it very clearly calls out what that area was at the time.
Entertainment,
Yeah.
There's still a stage on the third floor of that
Yeah.
building.
Yeah, it's beautiful, yeah.
All right.
So, any further discussion from the commission on the motion? Mr.
I'm
Santos,
gonna-
I'm sorry, I had recognized Mr. Santos
No, that's
earlier,
fine, that's
and
fine.
I didn't
Don't take my steam.
go back to him. Mr. Santos.
I just wanted to, again, remind, for the ones that I have seen with this entertainment and bands and karaoke or whatever, I think we mostly voted, if it's inside, it's 10 o'clock. If it's outside or in at 10, it's 9 o'clock. From the ones, that's way it's been consistent. And I think we need to do a better job of asking this question when people come in with restaurant applications or whatever entertainment.
Even a
applications.
checklist.
So I apologize.
Now,
As Dave pointed out, we have a regulation.
I do have a checklist.
Yeah,
that
it should be
changes
some,
on that
I
check.
think there's some clear things that should be called out to people understand. It's a matter of not understanding. It's not a matter of not being transparent.
Apologize to you for moving on.
Mr. Poplawski.
So I'm gonna amend my proposal to be 11 o'clock. 11
Okay,
o'clock.
Mr. Rice, do you second as amended?
Yeah.
So the amendment, the motion is to amend the application to include live entertainment, including acoustics, disc jockey, live bands, comedians, and karaoke to be played no later than 11 o'clock.
And that will go on her
And
amendment.
that would go on her
site
amended.
plan approval.
Any further discussion? Mr. Williams?
Does that mean people, if you have an outside band, it's gonna be done at 9:30?
If it's outside, it would have to
It has
follow
to,
that.
yeah, it has to.
Yeah, well, we're going through, I just wanna.
Right, we have specific
Yeah.
regulations for outdoor dining which address entertainment, and it does say, and that was what Dave was getting to. If it's in a non-residential abutting area, if the cutoff is 10, if it's residential abutting, the
I was
cutoff
sitting
is
up there
9:30
when
for
you guys voted on.
outdoors.
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
I just want to be clear. Every place else is allowed to play until 11 o'clock, is that what you're saying?
This application.
Yeah, okay. Because some of the other venues aren't in, and I get where the location is. I'm trying to get a happy medium here. Trying to make sure that you, because I'm not anti-business, I'm thrilled that you're there, but I'm trying to get a happy medium so that you don't have the people that are living there upset. I would much prefer to see it at 10 o'clock for that, rather than push it to 11. You said you're good with the 10. If we
It's
have it,
easy.
say it at 10.
It's easy to vote no.
I know, but I'm just, yeah.
I'm nervous about like rod and gun, right? They're
10
opening the
o'clock,
door,
we're-
opening the
10
door.
o'clock.
At 10 o'clock, music's done at the Rod and Gun Club.
Yeah, I think 10 is better.
Yep.
Okay, what about, yeah.
We'll go 11 and we can readdress it later.
Oh, we dress way
Ms.
too much.
Ms. Langlois.
I'm just saying that if it's the entertainment district and that's our main street, we couldn't get streetlights over on by the post office because that technically wasn't the main street. And we're going to be going over to the main street section and dolling it all up and getting new sidewalks and paving and lighting. Then if it's the entertainment district, then that's 11 o'clock is my say. Thanks.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, a yes vote will approve the
Anyway.
motion. A no vote will deny the amendment. Mr. Blackmer,
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Mr. Poplawski,
Dave Popowski, yes.
John Rice, yes.
Mr. Williams.
Ray Williams, yes.
You know you want to.
Yeah, because I'm glad she's there. I'm gonna say yes.
Mr. Kroll,
I'm going to say no, only because of the time thing.
Mr. Hill,
Elvin Hill, yes.
Miss Langlois,
Charlene Langlois, yes.
Mr. Lenke,
Abstain.
Joseph Brody Brown, yes. The applicant, the permit is amended. Thank you, Ms. St. Pierre.
Thank you very much.
Item 8B, discussion of bylaws.
Can I bring up something here?
Yeah.
We've got two people here that have been waiting for quite a while. We have new business and then I've got something under my CEO report. And I think this is gonna take a long time.
I honestly don't think it will. We talked through a lot of it last week. And the point was that we would be able to vote on this quickly this month.
So I can.
I mean, that's my understanding.
Because we don't, you don't wanna advertise. You wanna advertise.
Okay, so, right, we talked through the bylaws last month pretty extensively. We worked through them section by section. We have come up with Mr. Hill, continuing his good work. Sent a summary of the changes. Are there any questions on those changes?
I have a question, I believe.
Certainly, Mr. Crowe.
I'll go side by side. What is this? Okay. Section. The page. Yeah, the page is down in the bottom right. Yeah, look at that. Page number 4. It's in section 3.
On packet 1 or packet 2, Mike?
Packet 1.
Packet 1, page 4.
Yes.
Thank you.
Section 3, top sentence.
Yep.
Provisions of this section may be waived by the unanimous vote of all members present.
Where?
Yeah, that's what page 4. Where are you?
Where?
Right here,
Section 3,
section 3.
article 9.
That's.
The underlined version.
Packet number 2.
Yeah,
Okay.
underlined version,
That's fine.
underlined.
Okay,
What's that,
yeah,
two packets?
yeah, we've got packet 1 and packet 2, so that's page 4 on packet 2. It's not the same in packet 1.
Article 10. Article 10. Number 3, the matter.
So they're different, the pages are
Did I
different.
miss
in the
something?
packets.
Did I catch
It's
it
the
up?
underlined version you're looking at.
Summary, it's like, this is what you're talking about. Yeah.
No, I'm talking about, there must be article.
So it says provisions of this section may be waived by the unanimous vote of the members present.
Yeah, not all. You added it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So we were in packet 1, top of page 4.
It's
Yeah.
different. That's why
All
we
right, so
were
let's
lost.
go back.
Yeah, we were lost, but this is page 4 in packet number 2.
Making it simple.
Yeah, but you next one.
Yeah. The pages are different.
I didn't see it. I'm ready to make a motion to accept them.
Okay, well,
I
excuse
have
me.
one,
Oh, you, all right, so there's more. Okay, sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. I
All
just,
right, all right. Packet number 2, page 3,
look at 2, page 3.
article 9, section 3. Provisions of this section may be waived by unanimous vote of the members present. Provisions of what section?
Yeah, that should
It's-
read,
but
that
it's
should
section
read,
3, there
that
is
should
no-
read this section.
Okay, and I think that's what my question was on the other one also. What else is in that section other than that sentence?
Says article. It's article.
The whole thing? But.
So, yeah, so Mr. Crow's
but
point,
it
it
says
should read.
unanimous vote.
it-
Why does it have to be a unanimous vote? That's saying every one of these people have to vote yes to change it. And you're just talking about the order here, right?
The order.
So like tonight, when City wanted to change his name, it would have to be a unanimous vote.
Right.
Okay. So I understand.
Mr. Blackburn.
I can't quite get my head around election of officers. Every 2 years. Depending on which year this starts. Should it be the election of officers on the year of elections? Or,
So as the bylaws are written. In the first meeting, immediately after a municipal election, we will elect officers.
okay, so we did that last meeting.
Yes, even though there wasn't a municipal election because we had a 1-year term. But by switching to a 2-year term, we will change it so we will only vote for officers in the first meeting immediately after a municipal election. That'll happen.
Okay, a municipal election, okay.
Yeah, next November,
Yeah.
it'll go to 2
Okay.
years.
All right.
Sitting there for 2 years.
Yeah.
In 2023.
In 2023.
Mr. Lanky,
That whole purpose of, on a municipal was to stay in the same sequence with the 6-4-2, because that's because
Yeah.
every 2 years or 2 years or 2, 4, 6. So everything stays the same. So because the 1 year thing only this odd year only comes up.
right? Yeah, I think Bailey just wanted to make sure he knew which year it started, which,
That was my
It
question.
won't, the 2-year term won't start with, after what we would call 2026, which would be 2025. 2023 will be the odd. So anything from
John, we're just talking about officers. We're gonna elect officers in November 2023 for a 2-year term.
Correct. 6,
Yep.
4.
Yep. Mr. Santos.
Page 1, article 4, section 1.
Which packet?
We're gonna do this thing.
I think it's 2. So section 1 says membership of terms of office shall be as follows. Shall be a total of 10 members and 3 alternate members. Each member will be elected to serve for a term of 6 years. Presiding chairman shall seat alternate to fill vacant seats on a rotational basis is my question.
Yeah, so it has been the practice of this chair to seat alternates by seniority. And this change to the bylaws would codify a practice of rotating alternates to be seated,
So not based on.
not based on seniority.
Okay.
Which makes it better so that everybody gets a chance to sit on the commission and learn rather than seniority. It should everybody get a chance.
Tracking that.
Yeah,
The chair.
the chair. I'll have to start writing things down a little bit better, maybe.
I had that same one. I was gonna eliminate the rotational basis. Wanted just up to the chair.
It could just end with vacant seat period. And then it's up to you.
The presiding
I
chairman
think
shall
it's
seat
rotational.
alternates to fill vacancy.
Yeah, so we discussed this at like not great length last month, but to some length, and it seems to be the consensus of the commission to institute that language.
I'm not here to hold it up. I wasn't here to comment on it, so.
No,
You don't accept that anyway.
no, I don't think it's been
It's not, it has been office.
past practice.
It would be, like, I can only speak for my time as chair. It would be a departure from the practice I have used.
Just one more.
Yep.
So page 2. Article 6, section 4. About vacancies in the office. Offices shall be filled by nomination from the floor. Candidate receiving a majority vote shall be declared elected and shall serve the remaining term of the vacated office. So my question is, the nominations are solely the alternates? Might be a dumb question, but I just want to make sure I
Yes.
understand.
This is for filling the chair, the vice chair, or the secretary positions.
Very good, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm all set.
Any other discuss, Mr. Rice?
I don't know what page you're going on, but whatever. I'm going with disqualifications,
Mhm.
Article 8.
Okay.
He's on the strike one.
It's 2,
First
4,
packet.
3.
Page 5.
On the first page.
Just go to Article 8, I guess. It shouldn't be the same.
On page 3 of the one
Article-
with the lines.
Article 8, disqualification.
Article 8 disqualification, whatever one you want.
Go ahead, John.
It just says no member of the commission or no member of any municipality. Agency. What's an agency? In other words, any Teague, somebody from Teague can't come in and represent themselves or make a proposal to the commission? I don't think.
Yeah, I questioned that this morning.
Huh?
I questioned that this morning also.
John, this is.
I just
this is
used
a
the-
statute.
Huh?
This is a Connecticut statute.
So what you're saying then is an agent from another commission cannot come in to represent an individual party.
Yeah, anybody from wetlands, inland, conservation can't come in and make a presentation.
They could come in and make a presentation on that subject, but I couldn't ask Wetlands Commission to come in and make a representation for me.
Correct.
Or-
They would be, if they- but they would be if they gave a presentation in your favor. Technically.
Hasn't happened. I don't have anyone coming up that I know.
There's, we've never questioned.
We haven't, I don't know where that's happened, though. I don't think it's ever happened.
No.
And we've looked at it in the light of, as long as it wasn't a conflict.
Right, whether it's monetary or a conflict of self-interest,
Yeah.
and then they can't present it, but. I don't know where,
I mean, it comes down to the point that if you've got interest in something that is before the commission, you recuse yourself while.
no, you're making a presentation
You make
of it.
Yes, you could,
How do
And you can't do it if it's a
yourself?
monetary or,
How do you recluse yourself? The other one, you're saying you can, no member can make a appear a representing person in person. You're not gonna if you're making a presentation.
yeah.
I don't.
But that's always
I
been
mean,
in
that
there,
cuts
right?
out
Yeah.
a lot of people, I'll tell you that. Well, I think before, I don't know what the old one was, but it's just so if you had a self-interest, you own your partnership in the whatever you're proposing, or if it's for money. That, you know, that you can't
Well,
do
I
that.
guess the way I look at it is you would not be acting as a, if you're doing the presentation, you would not be acting as a member of the commission, correct?
Yeah.
Or any other commission.
Yeah, but if you are,
We're still citizens of the town. That, you know, we can come before the board as citizens, right?
but if this is saying you can't.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And
that's
we-
what I'm getting, yeah, no, I get that,
Yeah,
yeah,
we have had first selectmen who have been lawyers
yeah,
that could
Yeah.
represent you
yeah,
in a case.
yeah.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be able to. for-
So let me read to you the language as it is now.
Okay,
No member of the planning commission. And no member of any municipal commission. Or agency. Shall appear or represent any person, firm, or corporation. Or other entity in any matter pending before the commission. That's how it's currently written in our bylaws.
right. I'm saying, I don't think it's right. Just because it's been past practice doesn't mean you can't change it and do it. Yeah.
So the way this is written. If I wanted to say I was gonna put solar on a piece of property, I couldn't represent or I couldn't stand and. Couldn't be part of that, no.
That's what it says. Shall appear or represent any person. No member of a commission or no member of a municipality, agency, I don't know where that came in, but shall appear. So
But
if you're a member of commission, you can't come in and present it.
I think it means
Can you
that-
do it as a citizen? How do we word it so that you would be able to come in and do it as a taxpaying citizen? Because we should be able to do that.
Ray wants to raise cattle and he wants to, you know,
Yeah.
go for a special permit or something.
Go ahead, I'm
We
sorry,
already hear that he wants to do.
Ms.
No, I
Ms. Langlois?
At your house.
Well, the way it was written, Mr. Rice, you don't agree with the way it was written before?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, say that again, Charlie?
We never enforce it, no.
Yeah, what I just read was what is currently written.
Oh, you're looking for statutes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So somebody is there a reason why somebody wants to change it? Like Alvin, you wrote the thing. What's the problem? There must be something in your head that you're thinking, okay, we need to change this because this could be happening because it's been this way forever. So something flagged you to make you write this. What is it?
Evan, do you know that?
I don't know.
So, okay, so this is the statute. No member of any planning commission and no member of any municipal agency exercising the powers of any planning commission That's where it is.
Exercising the powers. That's
Whether
it.
existing-
So basically, you can do it as a citizen.
Yeah.
You have to recuse yourself from the board or the commission and come in as a citizen. So that needs to be clarified.
So what I would recommend striking. And.
I want it,
Amended.
have it exactly.
Yeah.
as it's written.
Yeah,
So yeah, amended to no member of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Or any municipality agency. Exercising the powers
yes.
of any planning
Yeah,
commission.
we come in as a
I
citizen.
can rewrite that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes it clear.
Does that work for you, Mr. Rice?
Got it, John? I'm moving on to the 3 other ones.
Okay. What's next, Josh?
What's next?
Well, Dr. Sharma and
Article 9, order of business.
Yep,
Section 1, unless otherwise determination by the chairman, is that right, or determined?
Where
And, again,
are we?
Article 9. Yeah, that should be determined.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, got.
You have another one that's easy, John?
Yeah. We kicked this around. I think you said that section 2 on the bottom of that too, a motion from the floor. What?
Huh?
Shall be passed in order to dispense with any item on the agenda or change the order of business by a majority vote. I think we just.
He added words at the end of the
Expectation.
sentence after business by majority vote.
Yeah, we've done that before.
Oh, okay, I'll probably.
So what's your question on that, John?
I'm just adding by a majority vote to
Oh.
change the
To change the agenda?
sequence, yeah.
Well, isn't that how motions pass?
What?
Isn't that how motions pass?
Yeah. Shall be asked to respect.
So so my question is by majority vote necessary?
Section.
I think you moved on, Joe.
Great, excellent.
Nice work.
We've only done that for years, John, come on.
No, he wasn't even, it was language, it wasn't substantive.
It was added thing.
That's why we put in number 2.
Yeah.
Oh,
Really?
how about 11?
Article 11. What do you got for me?
We're going with section 2, the recording secretary shall read the legal advertisement. And note the dates and newspaper in which, what are we going through that for?
Because that's the way it's supposed to be done.
Huh?
That is the way it's supposed to be done.
That's a good suggestion, because there's other meetings, I've been at and stuff that they do that recording secretary.
Yeah.
does that.
I always did that at my meeting,
Textually.
recording secretary, where it
It's
would
got
put
enough
up.
to do. Joe's been reading this.
Right, I
Well,
picked
Joe's
up on
been
that
reading
too.
the application.
Okay, we're gonna pass it on to the elected secretary now.
Whoa.
So
When I signed on.
it says the
goodness,
recording.
It says the recording secretary.
Yeah,
So by the time she stops everything, has to read that. Go ahead, I just think there for that.
That bylaw protects you. legally.
Yeah,
yeah.
we're gonna keep that. Anything else, John?
No, go ahead. No,
Anyone
I got-
else?
There's more, but it's getting late.
Mr. Krogo?
Next year.
Article 11, section 4,
Chairman shall-
and section 4, the wording, the verbiage, whatever you wish to call it. Section 3, a summary of the question or issue shall be stated by the presiding officer at the opening of the public hearing. Comments shall be limited to the subject advertised for the hearing of the event. The commission shall have the privilege of speaking first. The chairman shall describe the method. We're changing the verbiage from presiding officer to chairman, and the same thing in section 4. I don't know, I don't care. I mean, I know it means the same thing, but.
I would suggest that we could approve the bylaws with similar language that we approved the amendments to that, wording, grammar, things like that can be.
That's fine, no issues.
I'll retype.
To make my motion,
Yes, please, Mr. Poplawski.
make a motion that would accept the new PZC bylaws as amended in the packet that we have here by Elvin and
What packet?
number two, packet number two.
Second.
Okay, and do you include in that motion that changes to grammar, structure, things like that can be amended?
Later, at a later time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do add that.
And you second,
Yes.
that's amended. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, a yes vote will approve the bylaw, the amended bylaws, a no vote will not approve them. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. Item 9, new business. Thank you very much. Well, you proposed buildings on 255 Buckley Hill Road, Town of Thompson Highway Department facility.
Everybody read, the information I attached to that. We just need to say yes to approve under the required under the municipal improvements, state statute, and I just forwarded it to the staff. And to the architect.
I'll take Cindy's word for it and say aye.
Aye.
So that's gonna,
I think you need a motion
I
there
think we
somewhere.
do need a motion. So that, Cindy, would be a motion to,
approve the
Concept.
municipal improvements at 255 Buckley Hill
Yeah.
Road. Highway Department.
the motion, is there a motion to approve the proposed building modifications on 255 Buckley Hill Road?
I'll make that proposal.
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Krogel, seconded by Ms. Langlois to approve the proposed building modifications on 255 Buckley Hill. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, a yes vote will approve the proposal, a no vote will reject the proposal. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Mr. Rice abstains.
Have an interest in that. Him being chairman of that building committee.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. Item B, preliminary development discussion, 26 Main Street, Bay State Investment Fund Incorporated. Good evening, and thank you both for your patience.
Yes, good evening. My name is Mark Brulard. I'm a lawyer in Woodstock, St. Andrew Brulard, and good evening to you all. And I'm going to make one promise to you, it'll be very short. Usually, other than my height, but my presentation
We won't hold that against you.
will be short. But it is my pleasure to represent Mr. Murphy in Bay State and work with them. He's a substantial developer. Most recently, one you would probably be familiar with be the what was the former Putnam Library. That was on the market for a while. He bought it and has rehabbed it. It's got 3 nice commercial tenants. So he's going to tell you about what he would like to do with St. Joseph School. It's in your your downtown Mill Rehab District. As you know, it's been a vacant building for a while. We think this project is going to benefit the town. And certainly we welcome your input to it, but I'll let Mr. Murphy tell you about what we'd like to do.
So we're proposing to the town to do up to 40 units, all 1-bedrooms or studios. When final plans change throughout the process for mechanicals, we potentially would lose a unit. We looked at 3 proposals for this building. This process started about 6 months ago. The church had a long approval process to finally approve the deal. We looked at larger units, which would be 2 or 3 bedrooms, which would be 1 unit per classroom. We looked at 100% affordable option, which would provide us as the developer with more tax benefits and incentives to do the deal. And then this deal that we're proposing today, or not proposing today, just bringing in front of you for discussion purposes today, is 40 units. 10%, which would be affordable, 1 would be fully handicapped. That's not a requirement of the town, but that's something we're offering up to help the town meet their affordable housing. These units are small in size, they're not large. So they're not, let's say, luxury units where we're going to go for skyrocket rents. There'll be a more affordable rent for a new construction product. We've built very similar sized units, had very good luck. We have three similar size unit types and buildings we currently own. The units would be finished with granite, stainless steel, new appliances, dishwashers. The first floor would be very accessible because it's the old school. We keep the hallway layout. We would build within the classrooms. We have 2 bathrooms each floor, a mechanical room, and some other parts of the building that we've modified. There's currently a cafeteria, which is larger. I think that's where the handicap unit would go. New windows throughout. Flooring, unfortunately, would likely be laminate or carpet, just for the simple fact that it's concrete. So it's tough to put hardwoods on that. That would be our first preference, but I don't think we'd be able to do that. We have plenty of parking. The property will be subdivided from the church and the cemetery parcel. So there'll be an abundance of parking there, which used to go with the school. Only engineering is currently working on the subdivision of the parcel. And once that happens, the sale of the property will officially go through.
Ms. Halsey?
What is the average size of each apartment? You said they were small. What are we talking?
They differ. I would say the largest, here's a floor plan of both floors of the property. You can see this is the current cafeteria area. This unit's probably closer to the 900 square foot range. These smaller units are closer to 500 square feet.
Okay, so basically you're looking at 500 would be the average then, because you said stated that the one in the cafeteria would be more for the handicapped one.
Yeah, so these units, there's a 1-bedroom unit and a studio unit. The 1 bedrooms would be larger. I don't have the exact square footage, but I'd say mid 600 range on 1 bedrooms.
Okay.
It's a very livable product. We've these are actual rendering the scale of this is what the bedroom would look like in the 1 bedroom.
Yeah.
The studio unit would have a interior bedroom. It wouldn't have a full ceiling. It would be very similar to that, just for ventilation. Full kitchen, couch.
Would you be putting in an elevator or anything for the access to the second floor?
The second floor wouldn't have an elevator. If we went affordable, it would trigger an elevator. So, you know, under the building code, we wouldn't be required to put an elevator.
Okay. What would be your plans for the grounds of the school? Because right now it's obviously pretty much parking lot. Would you be doing plantings? Would you be digging up some of the pavement and putting grass? I mean, would you be enhancing that to for better eye appeal, to say?
We would try to buffer the cemetery from the first floor of the property. So we would like to do plantings along the back edge of the parking lot. I don't think we would modify the parking lot too much now. The church would take the current playground, that would kind of be the new property line. So they have plans for the playground over to the cemetery. We would have a right of way through the church property, and also there's a second egress now. I think it's a fire on the backside,
Yeah.
which I think would become our primary entrance. So when you incorporate that and where the 2 parking lots tie in, I don't think there'd be much pavement to take out.
Okay.
And the fire department's going to want to have access to the side of the
Yes,
building.
yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Bukowski?
You must have a good occupancy rate on the 3 existing properties you have then, right? At
Yeah.
Price point.
We're in control of over 1,000 units, and we, you know, I would say 97% occupied.
Sure.
There's very little apartments in the market.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Halsey?
I'm trying to think of the average age. I mean, obviously the 1 bedroom, if these are not family apartments, so they would be considered you know, elderly, or how?
We're not going under any specific, so there's incentives for each kind of
Okay.
age type. So if we went for senior housing, there would be incentives to do it that way. That would trigger an elevator. It would give us more control of the process. I would say our demographic that will end up living in this building would be someone downsizing,
Okay.
a single person, a divorced person, maybe a young professional, maybe a grandmother ends up with a child, but it's not a long-term conducive living situation to have a family in these units. So there should be little to no impact on the school system.
Okay.
The traffic is gonna be much less than it was when it was a school. So I don't see impact there. You know, there'll be brand new beautiful apartments, which I think, won't impact anybody. I think single people and couples would be the likely demographic, so it's not that there's gonna be kids disturbing the neighbors, obviously.
It's it's better than having the building sit there empty, which it has been.
We've looked at other properties with the church and we passed on them for the condition. You know, the property has asbestos floors, which have deteriorated in other properties the church has. This property is still in good shape because it's newer. The church is gonna continue to keep the property throughout the winter, so the condition stays good, and we hope we'll work on it next summer. We got approval.
Ms. Langlois?
What's the time frame you're looking at, like the time you start it till the time you finish?
That's a loaded question. There's obviously unforeseen issues within the building that we haven't come up with. Our biggest issue is electric. So we're gonna have to increase the electric service in the building. The property isn't serviced by gas, so unless we go propane or oil, we will have to upgrade the electric. Everything will be mini split units. So getting electric components to a new service, there's a lag time on that right now, so. And the utility company would be relying on them, but I think it would be realistic, a year and a half from approval of the project to have occupancy, so. Sometime early 2024 or summer 2024.
Thank you.
You did the bathrooms.
Yes.
Shared.
No, no shared bathrooms. The bathrooms,
Lavatory.
they're stacked,
Okay, stacked, okay.
so the yellow unit.
Yeah.
So you can actually see right here, those are the bathrooms next to each other.
Sounds good.
That's real good.
So we're looking for, no
23.
action needs to be taken.
Just the informal presentation.
Just an informal presentation.
So
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you very much.
Thanks for coming in.
Appreciate your coming in. We appreciate your
Looking
patience.
forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Preliminary development discussion, 1410 Thompson Road, One Rattan Road Realty Trust, Dr. Sharma.
Thank you for giving us opportunity to discuss our project. I know it's getting late, and we try to be brief. And just want to seek your opinion and guidance for we do it. I am a resident of Thompson since 1975. I moved in from Boston. And I own 46 acres right on the Thompson, Massachusetts line. And I have a house there which is currently 11,000 square foot. It's heated by propane gas, so I have a very big interest. So what I'm proposing is, since we are on the sunset side of our life and marching into the other side of my life, so we're looking to downsize and have some friends and families and other people join this project. It is a limited project, and the details, I think, he will present. All that we are here is to seek your opinion, guidance, and see if can be done feasibly, feasible to do it, and we hope to get this thing off the ground as soon as we get the blessings. Go ahead.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you again. I'm Daniel Blanchett. I'm here tonight on behalf of Dr. Sharma to get, again, a preliminary discussion about creating some 55 and older housing, a condo type development on some of the extra land that Mr. Sharma has. This property is kind of unusual. You can see right here, it's Route 193. This is Webster Variety. So you can get oriented, and this is the Massachusetts state line. So actually the site doesn't have frontage in Connecticut. It's only accessed by coming up into Massachusetts and then down Bryan Avenue. It's about 46 acres in total. We think we could get up to potentially 24 units. Probably it'll be a little bit less once we delineate wetlands and get everything designed, but a theoretical maximum of 24. They would be 2-bedroom units, about 2,000 square feet. So they're pretty nice units, again, for people who want to downsize, want to have a single floor living situation, but want to stay in the area. They don't want to leave the area. There's not a lot of housing like this available. Again, it would be a condo type situation, where people own the units, but the property is shared by an association. I'll say we're not actually allowed to subdivide this property. Subdivision regulations state you have to have access directly from Connecticut. You can't go into Massachusetts. I know over near Lake Webster, they've had some issues with going up and then down, and it becomes an issue for school buses, for utilities. And so again, we're not allowed to subdivide this property. What we do is actually do a pre-split to cut off the existing house where Mr. Sharma lives now. We cut off about 8-10 acres, something like that, and then we have the remaining somewhere around 30-35 acres to play with. Again, a basic loop road with condos going around it. The second page, a little bit more to zoom in for the site plan. Water and sewer is technically available off Bryan Ave, but we've spoken with the town of Webster. They say they don't have the capacity right now to add these units. So we would be proposing private wells and septic systems. The project obviously still needs to be designed. There would be stormwater basins. Again, there's a lot of detail missing. We are having wetlands delineated at the moment. Test pits done again for the septic systems. But that's really it. I'd just be happy to hear any of your concerns or questions.
Ms. Thompson.
What's the price range of the condos?
I think it depends on the way markets go down, but I think it would be about $500,000 to $700,000. This is going to be a eco-friendly solar houses and sort of have a little gardens walking around. So it's going to be slightly high end.
Okay.
And I will just correct it. It's not really all 55. We want to have everybody come in, because if you're only 75 there, then you'll only see ambulance coming every day. Who is going to the hospital? So I need to have a mix so there is a life in the system. That's what I look like it. So I think we need to balance it. And the reason it is convenient is because it's right behind the hospital. They have a helipad, So having access closer to a healthcare facilities and then access to anybody else, this is what I thought would be nice to do it. But it would be slightly on the higher end because everybody wants to have a house and privacy, yet it should have a common kitchen because no lady wants to cook after 6 p.m. and not my wife will not cook either. So I think we will have a central cooking facilities so that people can join and have that done. So this is about my dream. I'm 5 years behind.
Community
Community is
basically
basically
itself.
community, yes. I'm 5 years behind, so I think before my hip replacement comes in, I like to get it done.
Looks like your wife must be pushing.
I'm still healthy, but I'm working still full time. I'm 76, so I like to have this thing planned
Time to do it now.
now, yeah, before I get into trouble.
Any other questions or comments, Mr. Rice?
Yes, sir.
Daniel, that's the property where the golf course was proposed years ago?
The golf course was behind me.
I think the golf course is, over here.
Golf course was behind.
I seen on that small one, it showed Rich Road.
Yeah, it's right on my back of my property and the golf course was on the Rich Road.
Rich Road.
Yeah, I think this one was the golf course that you're talking about, Blue Star Car Wash LLC.
Yes,
You're looking at totally self-contained for plowing and all of that.
yes, of course, it will be managed by the organization or the entity, yes.
Yeah, it'll be a private street, so it'll be a private street, and there would be a condo association there.
I looked at it on the maps, there's a 50 feet by 350 feet. The way your driveway goes in, is that a right of way from somebody else? See right there?
Right
Yeah.
here, yeah, you're talking about right there, yeah, so that is, that came with the property, when Mr. Sharma purchased it, I believe. Has a right of way here.
The guy who sold me the property, Mr. McCann, had the house here, he thought he would have this thing right of the way in case he builds up another house. Since then, this house is built and has already from Thompson Road entry. So this, yes, the right was done for that house, but it's never going to be needed because this house has entry from the Thompson Road. But this was, he saved it right in case he needs it. That's what the way I purchased the land. But that,
So you purchased that piece?
that piece belongs to me,
Yeah,
but
okay.
it's the
I
right of
was
the way.
just wondering, because the way it was on the Thompson Geo map, it didn't come up.
It's the right of the way to go there. If somebody
Yeah.
can get access to that property which is already built. So this has to stay as it is, I guess, because of right of way, you can't use it, but it has not been utilized for the last 40 years.
I just wondered if you still had, that right away would have went for that road too, also,
No, I own the property, but it's the right of the way for access to the other house.
Mr. Blackmer.
Yes, just.
So there's no other place that you can get access from Connecticut to that cul-de-sac or whatever you want to describe it as. In other words, the only way to get there is have to go through Mass to get there.
We looked at, Janet and Daniel looked at it, the other possibilities. I'm sitting slightly high up, even if there's the access road will be very difficult because the incline is too much. So we didn't pursue that side because it was not going to be a good thing. The road will be tough to negotiate and walk or drive up to there, so.
Whereabouts would that be? Where would you access that?
So right now, yeah, there's no frontage off of Connecticut Street. The only frontage right now is off of Bryan. We looked at trying to buy some land from somewhere here to get access right from Route 193. But the terrain makes it impossible. It's too steep. It's too steep. He's up so much higher than 193. They said we looked at trying to buy some land from Mr. Popiak or to see what our options are, and we don't really think it's feasible.
Mr. Poplansky.
This is Dr. Sharma, your power comes up off of Thompson Road, right through that
Oh, yeah,
easement.
Thompson Road,
So,
yes,
so
yes.
that's how you'd propose the power to come in. To,
Yeah.
rather than go through National Grid, you've got Eversource down on Thompson Road, so you can.
I
come
have the
in.
right of the way from
Yeah,
that.
and you can see your house at
store
the top
there,
of
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yep,
Yeah,
yeah.
he gets power currently like over the
I have the
western.
right of the
horizon.
way there, yes.
He has
Yes,
an existing right of way that we use for power.
Yeah,
I
and
do have one more.
what did, so Webster doesn't have capacity for 40 more units up there?
That's what.
No. I have friends there who tell me that they have already refused a few other guys, so I'm in the wrong time.
Because that would
They
be
said
ideal, it's right there.
When I called them and I talked to them, they said, actually, we have reached our full capacity. We really don't want to start this thing now at this time.
That's an
Mr. Williams?
interesting point, by the way, for those other properties on that we've been discussing about possibly changing what,
Right, Heather.
Oh, yes, down.
right, based on the possibility of Webster access and,
Not having that,
yeah. I
Mr.
think we can
Williams?
count that out.
I was just wondering how you came up, how you got that address for the 1410. Because if you're going in, that doesn't go into Massachusetts at the number that high. And how would 911 ever find a place with that type of number getting into?
So far, I have an address also with the town of Webster. They gave me an address on the entry. So I have one Redden Road approved by town. It's on Google and all that. So the town of Webster and the Thompson had agreement for fire and security. So this was, when I did this, they said to this site that they will cover us.
I was just wondering.
They will cover us.
how they'd find it.
Agreement was between the two towns,
Yeah.
fire and the police department.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Good luck.
Yeah.
Another one that I'd like to see come through, Dr. Sharma.
We will work hard and hopefully we'll get it done in the same period of 12-18 months or so, sooner the better.
Definitely got some hurdles.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, you got hurdles, but
And again,
hopefully,
I think the trick would be having a good team and then select a good worker. I have some experience in real estate. I built my office and a medical center. I put another medical center, so I have some interest. But that's dangerous because sometimes the little knowledge is dangerous. But I have interest, so hopefully I'll get it done. So
Yeah, and again,
you guys give us the guidance and we'll get it done.
yeah.
well, again, thank you very much for being here tonight. Thank you for your
so much,
patience.
you guys.
for, making your way through. Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Have a
If you
great
have
night.
any questions, I'll be happy to come back anytime.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Thank you,
much for
Mr.
your
Blanchett.
time.
Thanks.
Have a Merry Christmas.
Item 10, approval of the Planning and Zoning Commission minutes of November 28th, 2022 meeting.
Make a proposal to approve the minutes.
Mr. Hill moves the approval of the minutes of the November 28th meeting. Mr.
Second.
Blackmer seconded. He did it quietly.
Yeah.
Any discussion on the motion to approve the minutes? Mr. Williams?
Yes, under 2234, it says that I said about business and cluster houses. It was supposed to be no cluster houses, not and cluster houses. It's about 2/3 of the way down in the underneath the minutes on 2234.
Ray Williams commented on livestock and placement of structures of property, restrictions on people's properties, needs for business, and against cluster housing.
Correct. No one's gonna rescue again.
This is my job today, picking up pens.
You write your name in the minutes?
Yeah.
So Mr. Williams is suggesting adding against before the words cluster housing. This is on item 3, the first page. 10 lines down.
Oh, accept the amendment or the correction.
Mr. Hill, will you accept that amendment? Yes. The amendment is made to the motion and seconded by Mr. Blackmer. Any other discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. Yes vote will approve as amended. A no vote will not approve. Mr. Blackmer.
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Dave Pelkey, yes.
John Rice, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Dean Halsey, yes.
Mike Kugel, yes.
Alvin Hill, yes.
Charlene Langlois, yes.
Mr. Lanky.
Still there?
Kind of sleep.
And
B, you're on mute.
No, he's asleep.
Joseph Brody Brown. Yeah, so Mr. Lanky
John B. Yes.
and Joseph Brody Brown, yes. The minutes are approved unanimously. Item 11, reports of officers and staff, Town of Thompson budget report. Anything we need to know, Mr. Poplaski?
So I guess I'm submitting my first budget. I've talked with Cindy. She wants her salary up to 100,000, so I have that noted.
That's 19.
That's just a joke.
Can you note that for mine too?
Everybody's getting a raise. Everybody. No, I have to go on to the town website and submit the budget, so if there's anything anybody wants, training, I got till January, the
9th, I
second
think.
week of January or something, so if you think of anything, trainings, whatever you guys need, let me know.
New car.
Thank you, Mr. Poplaski. Mr. Rice.
We usually make a motion, the commission to authorize him to submit the budget to the board of selectmen. So I'll make that motion.
I'll
Second
second it.
Mr. Rice moves, Ms. Celsi seconds the motion to authorize Mr. Poplawski to submit a budget to the Board of Selectmen. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Bussey. Ms. Dunn.
Yes, I do. The information I sent you about Friday, and then I forgot to pass some papers I sent them out this morning. Did you get a chance to read the communication, Mr. Gray's complaint, and then my comments to his complaint, and then, of course, your action tonight and the amendments? That sort of null and voids the complaint, because now we don't have to do it. So are you going to require Mr. Calabro, did I pronounce it right?
Yes.
To come and apply for what was under the old regulations, since it's all changed now? He is the manure situation that Mr. Gray complained about is taken care of by the health department, and I believe Donovan said he was going to DEP too, or we called DEP, and he said that wasn't their job. I think he said.
Agriculture?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I meant, the department bag.
I believe he said that they don't really have a regulation.
Yeah, they don't, yeah.
Is what it was.
Yeah, but he has agreed not to spread any manure, near, until he gets things sorted out with the Northeast Department of Health. The other, issue that, Northeast Department of Health had is that the fencing for pasture, which is one of the photos, was too close to the, what do we call it? It wasn't the sewer pipe. What is it? What's it?
Standpipe.
The what pipe? Vent pipe. And he is going to move that fence against it. So. Do you have any questions? We went out there, so place is clean. There's 4 stables, 2 horses. The paddock looks really great for horses to go around, and then the fencing is going to be electrified. For
the back end of it will be
Yeah.
electrified, the front will be wood.
Yeah.
Mr. Hill.
What about this? It's not approved.
I approved, I signed off on the building permit, and when I reviewed.
There's no building permit. Right.
Yeah.
Terry didn't sign it.
Well, there's a CO. I have a copy of the CO. Terry signed the CO.
So I didn't follow that either, but that was my question.
Yeah, no, he signed the CO, so.
Yeah, but you ought to sign that building completed.
Yeah, it's all done, yeah. I didn't sign the CO off of the zoning permit, no.
How does he sign a CO without signing a building permit?
I don't know, you'll have to ask them.
But wouldn't
anybody
you-
need copies, extra copies of all of this? I have extra copies.
Wouldn't you look at that, Cindy, to?
Look it down the bottom?
Yeah, to see that he signed it?
No, that's Donna's job, that's not my job. You know, she passes this around to me, to the health department, to Marla, as a fire agent.
So-
You know.
So all
fire
you're
marshal.
doing is verifying that it meets the planning and zoning regs.
Right. I look at the site plan and make sure that their setbacks are okay. And when I looked at this, I would have seen that the future barn, and I would have said, oh, okay, that's the future, so that's coming back. And it just got in the mix with the building office, and if he went to the building office and told them that he could now build the barn at the same time he was building the house.
Frame is there, they just might as well.
Yeah, and so he did, well, that was his personal decision, to hold off, and then he was able to do it.
Yes. Right by the other day, it looks
Yeah.
good after
And-
that. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the issues that they're dealing with, and I'm working with Marla, is the inland wetlands, the water spillage, the pond. That's Marla's stuff with Mr. Gray and Kevin. And I'm going to be re-examining the site plans, the subdivision. I don't know if you remember years ago when I first got here, this whole section had a re-subdivision. Remember when they came to us? So I have to review that part, I haven't done yet. So there might be some issues with soil erosion and drainage, et cetera. That overlaps Marlin.
And you'll keep us posted with any,
What?
you'll keep us posted with anything we need to know.
On that part,
In your
yeah,
next report,
definitely, but the decision has to be
But
made.
what isn't in our jurisdiction, isn't in
Yeah,
our
if it's
jurisdiction.
drainage and the soil erosion, that stuff is in our jurisdiction, then this will be brought back, yes, and they've already explained that. But that was the one step that I did not have time to get into, so, but Marl is still working on it, I think you will have time.
Right, any other questions? Ms. Dunn?
I mean, it's, you know, it's a decision that I'm asking you to make under what you just passed tonight. That you're not going to be requiring anybody to come in with site plan reviews. Because they're under the regulations of the right to farm now. And then you change the dimensions of the farms. It's on. I didn't say that tonight. I mean, you want a month to think about this, or if you have any questions, Kevin?
All right.
Well,
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Krogel. Seconded by Mr. Williams to accept this. Sorry, the application, this
well, no,
action.
Resolution.
Yeah,
As recommended by the zoning enforcement officer. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, a yes vote will approve this resolution, a no vote will not. Mr. Hill. Alden Hill, yeah.
Thanks, I'll say yes.
Ray Williams, yeah.
Glad to go.
Thank you.
Mr. Rice,
Not sure, can you read what the resolution?
so that he does not need to file.
That we accept them.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's accepted under the regulations
Yeah.
as adopted tonight. Thank you. Mr. Poplawski,
Yes.
Mr. Blackmore,
Yes,
Ms. Langlois,
Charlene Langlois, yes.
Mr. Lanky,
Yes.
and Joseph Brody Brown, yes. Thank you for your patience, Mr. Cloud.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be going out with the wetlands agent and then.
Item 12, correspondence, there was no
Hey,
December.
what happened to my report, buddy?
I don't know, it's not on the agenda. I will move to amend the agenda to include the planner's report. Second. All those in favor, say aye.
As long as it's under 20 seconds.
All those opposed?
I could probably do under 60.
Oh, good.
Probably. Two quick things. One, some of you got a few weeks ago, a link for a webinar that had been rescheduled on conservation subdivisions. I don't know if anybody was able to dial in, but it got rescheduled to this morning. It was really, really informative. And as soon as I get the links and the slide deck from that, I will forward it to you. There were two presenters. The second presenter, you could have substituted the words Thompson, Connecticut for the particular town in Rhode Island that she was from, and you would never have known the difference. It was fascinating. So I will, obviously relevant to our subdivision regulations discussion, which is the second point. We can get back to work on that now, and I'm going to propose a subcommittee meeting for Wednesday, the 25th. If anybody can check their calendar now, or if you just want me to email it tomorrow, I will do that.
In January?
Yes.
Yes.
25th of Sunday, it's this month.
It's the 25th of January, 2023.
Yes, please email it.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
I mean, Wednesdays have generally seemed to be good for folks, but rather than muck around with the doodles, let's just pick a date if we can. So I'm going to propose the 25th and I'll email that tomorrow. That's it. That's what I got.
when you forward that to us, does that qualify as CEU or whatever?
I think you would have had to actually take the webinar to get the credit for it.
I appreciate the question, though.
But it's not a bad question. I don't know if that particular topic would have hit the 4 topics anyway. They're like affordable housing, FOIA requirements. There's 2 others, but I don't actually think that would have been one of them.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Penn. Item 12, correspondence. There was no December meeting of the zoning board of appeals. We received a planning board decision from the town of Webster. Any questions on that? Seeing none.
Cindy's got some violations here in her report. Should you go over? Did you go over those?
I don't have any more violations, no.
You've got a notice of permit violation for Mark Bauer and a notice of violation for Rodney Lemay.
In my, report,
I think so.
wasn't that last one?
Oh, this is for conservation?
Yeah,
Oh, it's your agenda for. It must have been part of in the report or something. Sorry. I thought you were gonna start sending us violations and I saw those and I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
sorry.
Item 13, signing of Mylar. There is none. Item 14, ZBA review. The ZBA requested a monthly update on the cleanup of Gates Auto. Cindy did attach that for us. Any questions on that?
And you'll be getting that monthly, because they want it, whether they have a meeting or not, they want that monthly, and Carlos is very cooperative, they finally got their application for the DEP. After 9 months.
Item 15, citizens' comments. Is there anything in the chat, Tira? What's that in the
Like
chat?
this.
Mr. Warner.
They had to.
I just want to say thank you for addressing the right to farm, having animals in the regulations as well as the setback. I just want to wish you all a Merry Christmas.
Merry
Thank you,
Christmas.
Mr. Warner. Item 16, commissioners' comments. Mr. Hill.
He's already forgotten what he had to say.
He wrote it down.
I would like to address my comment this evening in hopes of enlightening our citizens. What zoning means to our wide community about multiple land use interests. Laws, codes, all of course are regulations. First, let me begin with building law. Historically, that goes back some 4,000 years to the ancient Babylonian times. And yes, secondly, what is known today as zoning, but land issues were called disturbance ordinances. Or later zoning laws became common after 1940. In Connecticut, the late 19th century and early 20th century disturbance ordinances had to be adjudicated, a costly and timely affair. Our national states slowly adopted zoning laws, and later our state signed into law the Zoning Act in 1923. After many statewide local controversies. Our state building codes were adopted in 1971. And at last, zoning and building laws were finally joined at the hip. Johnson's first edition of zoning regulations approved or adopted on March 31st, 1975. What is the primary goal of zoning regulations? A straightforward answer is to protect property values and, most importantly, to preserve the health and safety of Thompson. These past few weeks within our regular and special meetings on the questioning of zoning amendments, the public comments were genuine in their meaning. Most of the comments, at least to me, began with I, as if their comment on a zoning regulation was directed at them personally. Zoning law is not about your needs. It's about your neighbor's health and its property values. I will end my comment on our Western tradition within our Christmas tradition of love your neighbor as yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Any other commissioners' comments?
I just got. So just on the Lake District, the properties that we're discussing as the farms and stuff weren't part of the Lake District. That's why I voted for the change. So it was the properties we mentioned, the farms down by schoolhouse, Little Pond, they aren't part of the Lake District.
that all right to go?
Sure.
I thought part of backside of Abula's farm, where it's the town property in the back corner of Abula's farm was. And then Monarch's property was all Lake District.
No, I looked and from what I saw, I didn't see that, so I didn't say why I went that way. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Rice.
Wish everybody Merry Christmas and a Merry good night.
Thank you. I just have one comment. Earlier this month, I accepted Gloria's resignation as secretary of the commission, so I want to.
Why'd you do that?
I want to thank Gloria for all her time with us. I know a lot of weeks it wasn't the job you thought you had gotten yourself into, but you've done a great job. We're very, very grateful and we wish you the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria.
In the meantime, our new elected secretary will be.
I want to read my writings.
Our next meeting is on January 23rd, 2023 at 7 PM right here and on Zoom. I will accept.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned at 10:29. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy
Merry
holidays.
Christmas. Bye.
Happy New Year.